starting in Konoha, I got the Rinnegan by signing in. Hey! Look who's back for more adventures. We love having you here to continue this story that keeps us all awake. Important note, all of this is pure fiction, so don't try any techniques you hear here in real life. Your neighbor might call the cops. This amazing novel and all its rights belong to the original author. We're just the ones giving it voice and drama. Are you enjoying the show? Prove it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving that like that motivates us so much. And if you want VIP access to exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting with things you won't find anywhere else. Chapter 126. You haven't answered me yet. Where did you know it? The expression on Daitu's face has never been relaxed, and his voice has become more solemn. How else can I know it? Just like you. Ryubana didn't seem to mention how easy it was, as if he was talking about something trivial, impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Daitu couldn't accept the authenticity. He originally thought that he had taken the banner of reshaping the entire ninja world from Uchiha Madara, and always felt that the fate of the entire ninja world was on his shoulders, although there is a long way to go. But there is also Rinnegan. But in the end, Uchiha Madara has already found another person. Daitu felt a little bit deceived. Unacceptable. How can it be impossible? The stone stele of Nanga's shrine is standing there neatly. If you can see it, you can see it. Don't think that you are the only one who opened the eternal kaleidoscope to right the wheel. Liu Ren followed up with a serious rebuttal. Of course, to say that bringing soil opened the eternal kaleidoscope or something, Liu Ren said so deliberately, so that he can read from the stone tablet to the infinite moon. Reading becomes reasonable. It became reasonable to let Liu Ren come here to ask about the unlimited moon reading with soil. The earth-filled writing wheel is now an eternal kaleidoscope, and Ryubana dare not give an exact conclusion. However, Baiju is transplanted with soil on the body, supported by interpillar cells, and can be used like eternal kaleidoscope eyes, without any differences for the plot characters in Naruto. It is impossible for Liu Ren to know that there are white cells in the soil without opening the perspective of God, and it is even more impossible to know what white cells are there for. From the standpoint of bringing the soil, Ryubana inferred that he opened the eternal kaleidoscope to write round eyes, which is also reasonable. Bring soil. Ryubana's turning point was too sudden, flashing like a lightning bolt with the dirt on her waist, making the dirt with the dirt caught off guard. Data was a little confused at first. He knew the Nanga shrine of their Uchiha clan naturally, but he had never been to it. There was an unlimited monthly reading plan recorded there. He started to think about it with concentration, and really remembered it after listening to the Moon Eye Project. He later asked Uchiha Madara how he came up with this method. Madara once told him that this was a guide left by the 6 immortals. It was recorded on a stone tablet at Nanga shrine. It turns out that you saw this plan there too. Is this why you snatched the 9 tails? After Daitu was stunned, he started acting in front of Liu Jian. Now that Liu Ren knew about this plan, bringing the soil had to see what the other party's attitude was towards this plan. This determines whether Ryubana will be his partner in the future, or his enemy with different ideas. Sure enough, you saw this plan, and I knew it, Liu Ren said with great joy. I finally found someone with a common language. I have always felt strange about this plan. I want to communicate with people, but no one can talk about it. Now that I have met you, this is really great. So, what's your question? Asked Ryubana quietly. I'm wondering if this plan is fake. Ryubana said endlessly without surprisingly. The look of the dirt on the opposite side could not help changing. Chapter 99. Denzo planned the Moon Eye Project. Why did you say that? After being irritated for a while, the soiled brow raised, his eyes fixed on Ryubana, and asked, Daitu, you belong to our Uchiha clan, so you must know about our ancestors, right? Ryubana asked an unrelated matter first. You mean Indra? Of course I know, Daitu answered naturally. Indra, the ancestor of the Uchiha clan, is recorded in Uchiha's genealogy or Konoha's related classics. How could he not know? Then you know the story between Indra, the ancestor of our clan, and Ashura, the ancestor of the Thousand Hands clan. Liu Ren continued to ask in an unpredictable and confident tone. Our ancestor Indra and Ashura, the ancestor of the Kaian Shao clan, are a pair of brothers. They are both children of the 6 Dao immortals. It's just that because of different ideas, Indra left the village they founded together. Of course I know the story. What are you trying to say? Please tell me directly, don't be circumspect. The soil was stunned by Ryubana, and at the same time he was a little impatient, and asked Ryubana a little irritably, don't you think there's any problem with this? Liu Ren asked with a serious face, staring at Daitu. Without waiting for the soil to say anything, he started to talk in front of the soil, and carried out a decent analysis. Indra values power and advocates power to change everything. While Ashura believes in the power of love, just like his father's 6 Dao immortals, the father and son have gradually disagreed because of their different ideas, and in the end there was a major contradiction, which broke out with the worst result, just like Uchiha Madara left Konoha. Indra also left the village created by their father and son. Not only that, Indra even attacked the village later, and completely turned against the Asuras and the 6 immortals. Then the question is, if there is really the method of saving the world left by the 6 immortals on the stone tablet of Nanga's shrine, why should he leave it to the Indra clan instead of the Asura clan? After all, from the standpoint of the 6 immortals, he didn't leave the truth to the Indra clan. Because Indra doesn't approve of him at all. Dai-2 was really questioned by Liu Ren. Indra had a serious disagreement with the 6 immortals and Asuras who advocated love, and the father and son turned against each other and the brothers became enemies. The immortals of the 6 paths do not approve of Indra's philosophy, and vice versa for Indra. Even when the last 6 Dao immortals died, it was Ashura, not Indra, who accompanied the 6 Dao immortals. So the concept inheritance of the 6 Dao immortals is indeed more reasonable if it is handed over to Ashura. But just because of this, I suspect that the plan of unlimited monthly reading is false, and the span is a bit big. This is a bit far-fetched. Isn't it? Said Convection Blade with Soil frowning. Don't worry, I have another question. Chapter 127. Do you still have questions? The Soil brows raised, and the next question would not be another question that catches the eye. If that stone tablet was really left by the 6 Dao immortals to the Uchiha clan to warn the Uchiha clan to save the world, then why set such a high threshold? You have to open the eternal kaleidoscope to right the wheel to see? What's the point of doing this? Tai-Tu frowned. This plan involves a lot of things, so naturally it must be highly confidential, and you can't let everyone know it casually. If this is the case, isn't it a good idea to directly keep the steel secretly by the patriarch Uchiha and pass it on from generation to generation? Our Uchiha clan doesn't know enough about these eyes, let alone the eternal kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes. Even the ordinary Gawai writing wheel eyes don't know how to open it. If no one starts the eternal kaleidoscope in future generations, isn't this important plan lost? It's too unreliable to pass on such a major plan with such a high-risk method. As the father of Indra, Liu Dao Xianren has also opened the Shirlanayan himself. Naturally, he knows the contingency of Shirlanayan's opening. It is really not logical for him to do so. The Soiled brow wrinkled again, and Liu Bian's theory did have a certain truth. After fully accepting the Moon Eye project, he once asked Uchiha Madara how to open his eyes, but Uchiha Madara didn't know this too well. Even Madara's own eyes were opened by mistake after transplanting his brother's writing wheel eyes. No guidance can be given on this matter. Even Uchiha Madara is like this, not to mention other Uchiha people compared with this method, the kind that Ryzen said was kept secretly by the Uchiha patriarch. It was indeed more logical, but even so, what Liu Ren said now was not enough to make G2 have doubts about this plan. This is just your own speculation, right? Dai-Tu groaned. Yes. This is my speculation, but besides that, I also found some clues, Liu Ren said next. Clues? With this oil already a little uncomfortable, there was a faint anxiety in his heart. What clues? When I used the eternal kaleidoscope to read the content on the steel, I found that some of the words on it seem to have been modified. Is this serious? Uchiha's expression on this oil has changed. If this is the case, it means that the unlimited monthly reading plan is really likely to be problematic. Of course, this is just my guess, and I'm not sure. However, Liu Ren followed closely but spoke again, which made Tai-Tu breathe a sigh of relief. If his belief is a scam, bringing this oil is really a bit unacceptable, since you are not sure. What are you telling me about this? The oil snorted softly without expression. That stone tablet was made by yin-yang escape. My eyes are just a kaleidoscope of eternity, which is far from enough to see through the stone tablet, but with this oil, you now have the eyes of the 6 immortals. It's not a problem to see through the stone tablet, so I would like to ask you to check if there are any traces of the stone tablet being modified, Liu Ren said to Dai-Tu with a serious face. This is the purpose of so many nonsense and slaughter, to use a tactful and roundabout way to bring some dirt. After all, Liu Bian and Dai-Tu have no grievances or hatreds in the end, but they have become enemies of life and death inexplicably. Moreover, Liu Bian, either intentionally or unintentionally, destroyed this oil-carrying action so many times. This time he took the initiative to calculate this oil-carrying head. Bringing a handful of oil can also be regarded as a compensation for this oil. Dato's heart moved slightly. Although he still didn't fully believe in Ryun's words, the stone monument of Nanga's shrine had successfully attracted his attention. Anyway, I've already arrived at Konoha. It's okay to take a look at the stone tablet by the way. After taking this oil for a while, he couldn't help but think so anyway. A supernatural power passed without trouble, but on the surface, Sundir's Tudo still dismissed this performance. Do you think I will do this kind of boring thing just because of your catchy words? Bored? Bring the soil. I suspect there is a huge conspiracy behind this. Liu Bian's acting has reached the heart, and gradually entered the state. This unlimited monthly reading plan was deliberately fabricated. Oh? Really? What conspiracy? Jiatu asked indifferently. Kill Uchiha Madara. Ryubana clung to his words and analyzed this oil plausibly. Someone deliberately modified the content on the stone tablet and wrote this unlimited monthly reading plan to let Uchiha Madara see it. This can explain why the 6 immortals left the Indra Steel, and it can also explain why only the Eternal Kaleidoscope can be seen, because this stone monument was specially made for Uchiha Madara. As a result, Madara was really fooled, betrayed Konoha, and was eliminated by the first generation. If this is the case, all the questions have been perfectly explained, haven't they? Behind this, there is obviously a man behind the scenes who controls everything from start to finish. Taitu raised his brows. Then tell me, who is behind this? Danzo, Liu Ren blurted out. Huh? Taking this oil was stunned Danzo. Do you dare to talk a little more? He is an old fox hiding in the dark. He usually plays tricks. How can he set up such a shocking situation? Are you kidding me? What's more, according to Liu Bian's theory, how old was the old thief Danzo when Kaian Shaojian had not yet become Hokage? Ahem. I mean Danzo's teacher. Erdame, Kaian Shaojian. Liu Ren hurriedly added an explanation, and couldn't help sweating when I was looking for someone to take the blame. I unconsciously thought of Danzo. This old thing was killed by myself and I arranged him like this, which is really sinful. After sweating silently for a while, Ryuban continued to talk about Teitao. You know exactly what the Erdame's attitude towards Uchiha's clan is. An Erdame killed Madara's brother. They already have hatred. That's why Senju Koma secretly designed all this behind his back, just to kill Uchiha Madara, and it succeeded in the end. Bringing oil is not that easy to fool. You said before that the stone steel of Nanga Shrine is a product of yin and yang, so how can I modify it? Chapter 128. This, it really is. Sure enough, nonsense is not so easy to say. Liu Ren was slightly stopped by the dirt, but soon started to talk nonsense again. You are too naive to bring the soil? Who is Kaian Shaojian? The king of forbidden techniques. You should have heard of how many forbidden techniques he developed. For such a person, what's weird about revising the stone monument at Nanga Shrine? Liu Bian's righteous words made him almost believe it, and at the same time he admired himself so much. This set of nonsense. From the perspective of the whole story, there is really not much wrong with the logic. After all, Kaian Shaojian needs strength, and motivation. There are also some doubts raised by him before, which can also be perfectly explained in this set of conspiracy theories. It was to make Kaian Shaojian carry a black pot on his back, which made Liu Ren a little bit embarrassed. However, as a teacher of Danzo, since Shaojian should share some burdens for the students, right, of course, Liu Jian planted Kaian Shaojian, which is not a bad taste, mainly for the purpose of letting Heiju relax his guard against him. What is certain is that after taking this oil back, he will definitely talk to Heiju about today's affairs. When Heiju hears that, some people even suspect that the Infinite Moon Reading Project is a conspiracy deliberately designed by the Black Hand. Is Liu Bian afraid that he will directly become a thorn in Heiju's eyes? That's why Liu Ren compiled such a conspiracy theory, and Heiju knew that the person Liu Ren suspected was 1,000 Hands, and he would surely feel relieved a lot after listening to Liu Bian's long talk. Taitu fell into silence. Although Liu Bian's conspiracy theory is a bit ridiculous, it can be smashed from all aspects. There is really no obvious loophole, although I haven't fully believed it yet. Daito's idea of going to Nanga Shrine to check the steel was aggravated, seeing that he had successfully planted seeds in the heart of the earth. Liu Bian did not add any more and the nonsense of the earth, and the person disappeared in front of the earth with his divine pupil technique. At the next moment, Tato used the divine pupil technique to reappear in front of Kyuubi. I have done my best to bring this oil now. The future development of this oil depends on his good fortune, but if I brought soil, I would definitely go to the stone monument at Nanga Shrine to take a look. Liu Bian couldn't help but think so in his heart, thinking about the next development of the soil. He really looks forward to it. Not long after Liu Bian used the divine power to go out, Bring Earth followed and came out of his divine power space. It's great to bring soil. It turns out that you are still alive. After so long, I thought you were killed by that guy. Black and White immediately popped his head from the ground and said, when I listened to this oil, I felt uncomfortable. Hokage looks down on himself too much, right? Okay, that guy is really good, and he admits that he is inferior to him from the bottom of his heart, but Black and White must not save himself some face. Let's go, he said to Black and White very uncomfortably. We can't take the Nine Tails back. What are you going to do next? Black and White asked on the side. Go to Konoha? Tato's face returned to that coldness again. Even if there is no Kyuubi, I can personally destroy Konoha? This plan sounds pretty good. Black and White said in agreement at this time. A vortex of divine might appeared in front of the earth carrying eyes, and he was sucked into it and disappeared. Black and White must sink into the ground, and in this conversation with oil in Black and White, Uchiha Ryuhi is not clear at all. He still sits calmly beside Kyuubi, guarding Kyuubi. Chapter 100 The death of Bofeng Shumin Konoha, the hospital. Quickly, get out of the way, there are important patients, everyone don't get in the way, hurry up. Master III is vomiting blood again, one stretcher after another, being pushed fast by people, ran wildly in the hospital aisle like a drag racing, accompanied by anxious roar after another that's called a chicken fly dog jump. The person in charge of the hospital who hurriedly rushed in, the sweat on his forehead was almost full, and his scalp was about to explode. What is going on? Third generation, fourth generation, Zulai Yi, Chudeo Dingzuo, Unvzhi Wei. All of them were seriously injured and admitted to the hospital. Did people from other villages such as Yanayan, Shan, and Wuan join forces to invade Konoha? Otherwise, how could such a tragic situation occur? The person in charge looked dazed and stressed. There is a problem with one of these big people, and it will cause shock in Konoha, let alone so many. What's more terrible is that now so many big people patronize his business at the same time. There are not so many medical ninjas in the hospital for a while. We are all fine. Treat Watergate first. Fortunately, Sandaime spoke to the person in charge in time, which made him breathe a sigh of relief. So the person in charge immediately started to check Bofeng Shumin's physical condition. Soon, his brows wrinkled like a chrysanthemum in full bloom in late autumn. Master Hokage is poisoned and needs to be treated with a corresponding antidote. But, at this point, the person in charge frowned deeper and deeper, like two senior chrysanthemums in full bloom in late autumn. But this is not something that can be done in a short while, and even, it may not be worthy of the corresponding antidote. It would be great if Tsunade was here. Jiraiya had already woke up and turned around, and he sat up with effort and said, Master III, Master Jiraiya, I suspect that Master Naruto and Master Chudeo Dingzuo should be poisoned by the poisonous insects of Master Nziwei. At this time, an Anbu ninja jumped out and said to several people then this Anbu ninja would tell him the whole process of how Sandaime and Akuto Dingza passed out, and also told Sandaime and Jiraiya again characters like 3 generations have extremely rich combat wisdom and combat experience, and immediately after listening to them, they made the same judgment as the Anbu ninja. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129. Quickly, wake up Unvzi, Sandaime said immediately. The person in charge immediately went to Unvziwei's stretcher and stretched out his hand to inject a chakra into Unvziwei's head. Unvziwei quickly opened his eyes. Great, Master Ziwei really got caught in the illusion. Then it's easy to handle this time. The person in charge couldn't help but feel happy. Why am I here? What happened? Unvzi said as she looked around her a little dazedly. Ziwei, Watergate is very likely to be poisoned by your poisonous insects. You hurry up and have a look, Jiraiya said anxiously on the side. At this time Unvzi was surprised when she heard it slightly. He hurried over to check. His face changed slightly. It is indeed my nano-poisonous insect. How could it be like this? Immediately, Unvzhi didn't have any nonsense, and immediately controlled it, allowing the nano-poisonous bugs that had penetrated into Bofeng Shumin's body to crawl out. Finally, Unvzi took out a small bottle and poured it into the mouth of Bofeng Shuigate, which was relieved said, fortunately, Master Naruto was only attacked by a small number of nano-poisonous insects, so the poisoning is not deep. After taking my antidote, it should recover within a few hours. Everyone on the scene breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness, Master Naruto is fine. Really? It's just a pity, you don't have so much time. But at this moment, a gloomy voice suddenly rang. and black and white absolutely emerged from the ground. This half black, half white, half human, half vegetable guy immediately attracted everyone's attention. "Who are you?" Jilei also dragged his injured body and jumped off the stretcher, staring at black and white with incomparable alertness. Sarutobi Hizaki, Yuzushiwei, and the other dark ninjas on the scene also moved quickly one by one, enclosing the black and white. Hey, don't look at me like this. Your enemy is not me, but him," black and white said, pointing to the back of the crowd. Everyone turned their heads and looked back subconsciously. And their complexions changed drastically because Uchiha Dato didn't know when he had already appeared there, and he took Hafeng Mazuman in his hand. "Uchiha takes the soil. Hurry up and put down the water gate," the third generation of Eyes sternly shouted at the soil. "Do you think you can still give orders to me now?" Taitu smiled coldly with disdain, with incomparable sarcasm. "Sandame, bring soil. What do you want to do? If you have any requirements, you can ask them, and we can talk slowly," Jalea said calmly on the side. "I want to ruin Konoha? I don't know if I can talk about it." Daito said, "So, take the soil. I don't know what exactly you have gone through to become like this, so that you have the terrible idea of wanting to destroy Konoha, but Watergate is your teacher. Don't you care about your relationship at all? Teacher-student affection." Jilei also continued to persuade. "Teacher-student feelings? Meaningless things. In this decadent world, it doesn't matter anymore." With a face of indifference, then he flipped his hand and found out a handful of suffering. All the people on the scene changed their faces. "Wind escape, vacuum jade," an old voice suddenly sounded, but it was Sarutobi Risen who took advantage of Daito's conversation with Jalea, and suddenly attacked Daito. Laugh. A wind escape sharp blade appeared out of thin air, severely cutting away at the arm with this oil that grabbed the water gate of Bofeng. Yunziwei, Zulayi and others also entered a ready-to-go state in an instant. As long as they waited until this oil was injured, they would thunder and save Bofeng Shuman. Seeing that the vacuum jade was about to be cut on the hand with this oil, the soil was still unnoticeable, which made everyone on the scene a little excited. Action. Is it about to succeed? But the next moment, an energy shield appeared on this oil-carrying body suddenly and very strangely, and the Feng Dun sharp blade hit the energy shield directly. Then, it weakens so quickly until it disappears. It's like being absorbed by the energy shield. Uchiha took this oil, unharmed, and was not affected at all. "Sandame, your naive attempt makes me very unhappy." Taitu snorted coldly, and suddenly stretched out his hand at Sarutobi Hiaichi. Vyendian Shianayan. Sarutobi Rishapura flew towards the earth so uncontrollably, turning his hand with the soil. Kune in his hand pierced directly into Sarutobi's chest. 3 generations, everyone was shocked. Their eyes were about to split, and each of them clenched their fists to expose their blue veins, and they wanted to rush forward and smash the corpse into pieces. But the 2 Hokage-sama are in the hands of this person, but they dare not act rashly. Useless things. Bang! He took this oil to fly and kicked directly on Sarutobi Rishin's body, kicking Sarutobi Rishin's whole person. Jilei also caught Sarutobi-san's slash, and found that he didn't know whether it was intentional or unintentional. The dagger didn't stab Sarutobi-san. Sarutobi Risen was not killed, but he passed out without being injured and severely wounded. Jiraiya hurriedly handed Sarutobi Hitachi to the medical ninja on the side, and then turned around, fully guarding Uchiha's dirt, buzzing. At this moment, when the oil was distracted, Yunziwei caught the moment, and controlled a piece of poisonous insects to fly to this oil and surrounded the whole person with soil. Successful. Yunzi couldn't help but be overjoyed in her micro eyes. Shenluo Shianteng. But then, all the poisonous insects that rushed to this oil were bounced back by an inexplicable force. Chapter 130. The figure with oil reappeared in the sight of everyone at this time. Daito slightly stretched out his hand towards Yunzi, and Yunzi Wirin also flew towards Judo uncontrollably. Laugh. He turned his hand over with this oil hand, waved a handful of Kune again, and pierced the heart of Yunziwei. All of a sudden the front chest went in and the back chest came out, piercing the heart of Yunziwei through a transparent hole. Yunziwei didn't even say a word, so she was brought to slaughter. Sarutobi Hisaki is Konoha's 3rd generation of Hokage, and according to the information of the soil, although the old thing has abdicated, in fact, Konoha still has a lot of rights. It's a bit similar to the meaning of listening to politics. This is very useful for the plan of bringing the soil. So bringing the oil did not kill the Sarutobi, but the oil girl is micro. Sorry, it's of no use to bring the oil. Of course you kill it without blinking your eyes. Boom. After kicking Yunziwei's corpse casually, bringing the oil coldly glanced at everyone around him, and said arrogantly, "Is there anyone else who wants to come up and die?" No one around dared to act rashly. The various moves of this Uchiha man are too weird and too powerful, and everyone has no effective coping strategies for the time being. Konoha? Really a bunch of rubbish. After seeing that, everyone was shocked by him. Taitu sneered unceremoniously laugh. After saying this, Taitu turned his hand directly, and pierced Kuwu into the heart of Bo Fengshui Gate. Boom. And in this very insulting way, he kicked Bo Fengshui's body into the air. Watergate. Jalai let out a wailing. An instantaneous spell rushed over, catching the wave of Fengshui Gate. After a quick inspection, Jalai's complexion was immediately stiff, his teeth were gritted, and all his faces were murderous intent that could not be erased. The heart of Bo Fengshui has been pierced through. Even if he is reborn, he will not be able to save it. Uchiha takes soil. After a while, Jalai's eyes were about to split. And these murderous words burst out of his mouth. Every word. He suddenly raised his head, trying to fight with Uchiha to bring the soil. But when he saw that Uchiha who had just done evil in the hospital, the person who had disappeared without a trace, what about people? Why are they missing? When Jalai also was looking for a figure with the earth had already appeared outside the village of Konoha using his divine power Girulu. It didn't take long for Black and White to emerge from the ground, killed Hokage and severely injured the third generation. Although I did not control Kyuubi as I wished, this operation is still complete. Black and White nodded and said with great approval, yes, even though I was disturbed by that nasty guy, it achieved our goal after all. I killed Hokage as Uchiha, and almost snatched Kyuubi. Konoha must hate Uchiha to the extreme, and suspicion to the extreme. In this way, the contradiction between Konoha and Uchiha's clan will reach the highest point in history, and eventually erupt, and our plan can be carried forward. Everything is under control. Bring the soil. Black and White nodded on the side, and then asked, next, what are you going to do? I'm going to Nanga Shrine. After taking this oil for a while, he said so. Nanga Shrine. Kyuzu felt very strange. Why do you want to go where? Is it because you still have nostalgia for the Uchiha clan? So you want to see it? No, I want to see that stone tablet. Daitu said so. He faintly felt a bad feeling in his heart, and he also felt a little guilty in his heart. Isn't that the stone tablet inscribed unlimited moon reading? I want to see it myself. Daitu said to Black and White again. Isn't the unlimited moon reader Madara made it clear to you? Is there anything else you don't understand? Why you suddenly thought of going to the steel? Black and White must be cautious, pretending to be inquiring casually. It's that guy. He saw unlimited moon reading from the stone tablet, and then found some doubts and some inferences. Bring this oil will be in the divine power space. The things Ryubana said to him, simply said to Black and White. Taihoja feels that he is just as exciting as a roller coaster. Hearing Ryubana suspects that the steel has been tampered with, and suspects that there is a man behind the scenes. God knows how nervous Heijo is later. When I heard that Liu Ren suspected that the black hand behind the scenes was Qian Shao Jianjian, the heart of Black and White Ju was about to break. Finally loosen. However, his pain was always the same, and he remained unchanged like the boy before. After all, no matter how nonsense that guy's reasoning is, he has successfully attracted the attention of the earth. Bringing this oil has moved to look at the stone steel. Moreover, Taitu now has the reincarnation eye. And the Black and White absolutely cannot guarantee whether they can hide this eye from the changes to the steel. I was careless, I was negligent. After being fooled by Madara at that time, I should restore the steel. Black and White immediately thought of annoyedly in his heart. Otherwise, there would not be such a big flaw. Now Chapter 101 Bringing Soil. The stone tablet has really been tampered with. Outside Konoha village the huge Kyuubi was still lying on the ground, not to mention how sweet it was to sleep for a moment. It really gave Ryubana the illusion of a pet. Ryubana just sat beside Kyuubi in such a leisurely manner, motionless, as if he was closing his eyes and resting. Chapter 131. The gold dust covering Kyuubi's body was also taken away by Ryubana a long time ago. Now the Bofton water gate has been poisoned, and death is impossible, but it will not recover for a while except for the Flying Thunder God of Watergate. Konoha could not pose any threat to Ryubana. He naturally didn't have to waste his chakra like this. Whoosh whoosh. After Liu Jian came out of the divine power space with soil, he sat on the scene for a while, keenly aware that some Konoha ninjas appeared again around him. Through the fairy mode's perception of chakra, Ryubana found that there are some very powerful Shangrin among them, but without exception, these people just watched from afar, but they didn't dare to step forward at all. Is this the Uchiha person? He is the one who injured the 3 generations, 4 generations, and the Jiraiya-sama one after another. Konoha think tank Nara Lucasa looked at Uchiha Ryubana, who was sitting beside Kyuza leisurely. A little bit unbelievable. It was impossible for Nara Lucasa to defeat Konoha's absolute high levels by just one person in today's ninja world. How could there be such a powerful ninja? But the facts are in front of us. But Naraluji hasn't believed it for a long time. Lujiayu, what should we do? The white-eyed Hyuga Nissa asked Nara Shikoku in a deep voice on the side next to Hyuga Nissa is the leader of the Roots, Mito Menayan. However, when I watched Mito Menayan, I was also staring at Nara Shikasa. And obviously he was also waiting for Nara Shikasa's opinion. Not long ago, the fourth generation of Miha Feng Shuman was killed by Uchiha with soil, and the third generation of Mi was seriously injured and fell into coma. I don't know how long it will take to wake up other senior officials of Konoha. Held an emergency meeting. Now Konoha has no leader, but he is facing the greatest crisis in history. It's hard to say that Konoha will be destroyed directly. This is by no means alarmist. Whether it's bringing the soil or the other Uchiha, there is a power that far exceeds the level of today's ninja world. If Konoha mishandled it and caused too many high-level deaths, how could other villages let go of this great opportunity? At this critical moment, Konoha's senior executives discussed and unanimously decided to hand over the commandership to Nara Shikuhisa. The Nara clan have always been known for their super high IQ, and they are even more loyal to Konoha. They hand over authority to Nara Lucasa, and all Konoha leaders are at ease after taking over the command. Naraluji completed the defense in the village as quickly as possible, and finally led people to the scene of the crime. You can't act rashly. According to intelligence, this Uchiha man has not only opened the kaleidoscope, but is also proficient in various blood inheritance limits and forbidden ninjutsu, such as magnetic escape, thunder escape, and thunder god. It is definitely not something we can deal with. The examples of the third and fourth generations are right in front of us. We can't repeat the same mistakes, so our goal now is very clear, not to the Kyuubi from this person, but to find out what this person's purpose is as possible. See if there is any possibility of mediation. The fourth generation of lords just died, and the third and some other senior leaders were seriously injured. We Konoha, we can't afford more casualties, Naraluji said calmly to everyone. For now, let's watch the changes first. Although the others felt that the other party simply suppressed Konoha by a single person, it was very frustrating, but they had to admit that Nara Lucas's strategy was correct at the moment. The group of people didn't say anything more, but started to stare at Ryubana with their eyes widened. But seeing Ryubana sitting motionless from start to finish, no one knew what he wanted to do. After Konoha's senior officials discussed for a while, they were also to no avail from their point of view. Ryubana's behavior was simply weird. The sign-in location of Thenin Lama's location is generated. After being stared at by Naraluji and the others, the system prompt sounded in Ryubana's mind. That's it. A smile of joy flashed across Ryubana's face, and he stood up directly. Ninjas of Konoha, Nine Tails will give you back. After Ryzen said this to Nara Lucasa and the others, a spatial vortex appeared directly in front of them. He disappeared in full view. Nara Lucasa, Hyuga daily difference, Mito Menitis. All the Konoha ninjas looked at each other, and some of them couldn't react. Then Uchiha just left so suddenly. What on earth was he doing so hard to catch Nine Tails for, sitting back to back next to Kyuubi? This is not the conspiracy of the Konoha ninja, is it? Everyone look at me, I look at you. No one dared to step forward for a while, but Kyuubi didn't get up right away. This is mainly due to Ryubana deliberately, and it will take some time for the illusion of Nine Tails to be lifted. After all, he wounded the third generation of the four generations of the Eyes and others in succession, and the remaining power of Konoha alone may not be able to seal the Nine Tails if Nine Tails run away because of this. It will be lively. Liu Ren didn't want to let Konoha lose Nine Tails just because he was going to check in with Chakra. Uchiha clan land flowing blade room hum. A vortex of space appeared. Ryubana's figure appeared in his room. It's unreasonable. It's too much. What Konoha thinks of us. Yes. It's all about not letting us take action at this critical moment, and restricting our actions. Chapter 132. Konoha clearly doesn't believe us. Immediately after appearing, Liu Ren heard faint angry complaints coming from outside. After he pushed the door and walked out, he saw that many Uchiha people had gathered in the corridors and squares outside. Everyone looked angry and was extremely angry with such a big event in the village. The Uchiha clan, even though they were dissatisfied with Konoha, planned to contribute to Konoha. But what about Konoha? It completely restricted the actions of the Uchiha clan. This irritated the Uchiha clan, who had conflicts with Konoha. If it wasn't for Uchiha's order to let everyone follow Konoha's arrangement and stay in the clan land, There might be a lot of people in the Uchiha clan. It is said that Uchiha took this oil and took Naruto Mrs. Kushina abducted. Now the village has become increasingly distrustful of us Uchiha. Uchiha is also a member of Konoha. Why can't the two get along well? How can this situation be changed? Uchiha Shiso in the crowd showed deep anxiety on his face. Just be quiet, the patriarch is here. With these two shouts, Uchiha Tamatake's figure slowly appeared in the sight of everyone, and the originally noisy scene became quiet. Uchiha Tamatake's gaze swept over his own people one by one, and then he slowly spoke, explaining the whole story for everyone. Everyone, I just got the news that Uchiha took this oil when Naruto-sama's wife Uzumaki Kushina gave birth and killed the 3-generation wife who gave birth to Kushina. And took Kushina abducted. During this period, another Master Uchiha with an ominous identity appeared. He and one of the people in the land released Kyuubi. Then the ominous Uchiha master shot one after another and wounded many masters such as 3rd generation, 4th generation, Jiraiya, Unushi. As soon as these words came out, the entire Uchiha clan became boiling, and all Uchiha people were shocked. There are so many masters who have injured the 3rd and 4th generations in succession. Isn't this too exaggerated? There is also Uchiha taking oil and taking the Uzumaki Kushina at the heavily guarded and enchanted production base, which is not enough. The Uchiha clan is really dangling. It is precisely because of what these two Uchiha people did that led to our current situation. However, this is not the worst. The worst thing is that bring this oil then appeared in the hospital and killed Naruto-sama and Unvzui. Uchiha Tamatake said to the tribe with a solemn expression after the scene was quiet for a few seconds. A storm broke out, and everyone was shocked by the news. Uchiha killed Hokage with this oil. How dare this person do such a shocking thing? However, since Hokage has been killed, it means that the Uchiha clan has the power to shake Konoha. Coupled with the death of Mizuman, Konoha's threat to Uchiha is even smaller in this shock. Uchiha Tamatake also saw a strange light from the eyes of many Uchiha people. Quiet. Uchiha Tamatake waited until the scene was noisy for a while before continuing to speak in a deep voice. I know you are a little dissatisfied with the village's disposal this time, but from the village's standpoint, they have done nothing wrong. If it were me, I would make the same decision. Next, Konoha will definitely investigate our Uchiha clan. I hope that you can set your mind and cooperate with Konoha's investigation. Although Uchiha has not died, but he has not reported back to the village for so long. It is tantamount to betraying the village and my Uchiha clan. There is also the Uchiha with an ominous identity. I have never had this person's identity information in my clan. I don't care where he came from, but my Uchiha clan will not recognize him. For my Uchiha clan, the two of them are not the same clan, but enemies that need to be guarded. Okay, that's it. Don't gather here, let them all fall apart. Then if the village launches an investigation, just cooperate well. Uchiha Tamatake spoke to everyone with a serious face, and immediately dispersed everyone. I'll go. Bring this oil to kill Bofeng Shuman. Liu Jian among the crowd was still very surprised and unexpected after hearing this news. Originally, he controlled Unvzhi, and after using nano-poisonous insect poison to pour Bofeng Shuman, Bofeng Shuman can be said to have retired from the game of Nine Tails Rebellion, but in the end, it was hard to escape in this regard. Liu Bian will inevitably feel embarrassed. The death of Mizuman is a pity, frankly. But I don't know how it would react when I took this oil to Nanga Shrine to see the steel and learned that the Moon Eye project was a scam. Fuck, I won't accidentally pet a handful of soil, am I? After sighing for 0.123 seconds, Liu Bian was suddenly taken aback. He already understood why he brought this oil to kill Bofeng Shuman, most likely because he occupied the Jiuwei that this oil was originally used to destroy Konoha. So take this oil and do it yourself. If you don't tell me about the Moon Eyes project with Earth, there's nothing. But if Bring Earth has killed Bofeng Shuman, he knows that the Moon Eye project is fake. Can the heart with oil bear this kind of blow? Liu Bian couldn't help but shudder. The skies above. My original intention is actually to bring this oil for good. At this point, Liu Ren could swear to the sky. When the Uchiha clan gathered in the courtyard and the heroes were indignant, Atato had already used his divine power to quietly appear at Nanga's shrine, standing in front of the stone tablet, staring at his reincarnation eyes, staring at the stone tablet carefully by the side with his oil. Black and White looked calm on the surface, but in fact he was nervous, as if he were afraid that he would really see something with his oil. Chapter 133. But since I have already moved the idea of coming to Nanga's shrine to check the steel, Black and White is definitely not easy to stop clearly, otherwise it will only increase the suspicion of bringing this oil backfire. Then, Black and White Ju appeared here with Tai Tu, takes oil, Isn't this just an ordinary stone tablet? Where's the infinite month written on it? Not only that, Black and White also deliberately pretended to be stupid. This is not an ordinary steal. The content seen by ordinary eyes, riding round eyes, kaleidoscope riding round eyes, and eternal kaleidoscope riding round eyes are all different. Some contents can only be seen after the eyes have completed the evolution. While looking at the steal carefully, Tai-Tu answered absently, "Oh, that's it, the soil, shhh." Silence. When Tai-Tu suddenly interrupted the words of Sujitsu, he looked like he had discovered something. Black and White's heart was raised directly. This steal is really not right. I can clearly feel it with the Eyes of Reincarnation. It has indeed been tampered with, and there are traces of modification. At the moment of bringing the soil, the whole person is not good, and his complexion is ugly to the extreme, as if he has received a major blow. Is it true that what that guy said, unlimited monthly reading, is there really a problem? So what's the result of my persistence all the time? The Black and White on one side, his face is also very ugly, but at this moment, his emotions are very wrong, but he hasn't noticed him at all. Chapter 102. Heiju, I will wait for you to change your mind with the soil. The Nine Tails Rebellion is over, but the impact on Konoha is far from over, especially after the news of the death of Bofton Watergate spread. Konoha caused a great shock. Fortunately, Nine Tails finally resealed back to the belly of the original humans Huli Uzumaki Kushina. It was the only comfort that there was no danger. The culprits of the Nine Tails Rebellion, Uchiha Dato and another Uchiha with an ominous identity, became the bone-cut enemies of Konoha's entire village. Both ninjas and civilians hated these two people to the extreme. The Uchiha clan's situation in the village was extremely embarrassing, especially in the 2 days when the news just came out. Almost everyone shouted and beaten at this time. When Konoha was faltering, the 3 generations of Sarudabahari dragged the unhealed body, and regained the authority of Konoha, so that Konoha was able to operate in an orderly manner. However, the news of Bofeng Shuman's death inevitably spread to other villages. Some villages were embarrassed about it, and some villages regarded it as gossip, but some villages are a little bit ready to move, and have some different thoughts. Generally speaking, the environment is somewhat depressing and tense. However, all of this did not affect Liu Edge in the slightest, except that he felt a little sorrowful about Bofeng Shuman's death. Everything else was as usual. On the second day of the Nine-Tailed Rebellion, a barren forest not far from the production base of Whirlpool Kushina outside Konoha village Liubian's figure teleported out through the divine power space system, sign in at the location of Thanin Lamas. After his figure appeared, the first time he checked in, there was no doubt about it. Ling. Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and receiving the reward Nine-Tailed Chakra. With the sound of the system, a small 9 Lama suddenly appeared in Liubian's body. Shao, 9 Lamas. 2 unexpected voices sounded, and Liu Ren felt the 2 groups of near-substantial hostility appeared in his body. Shao and the 9 Lama. It is true that their enemies are extremely jealous. When they meet, Liu Ren also knew what persuasion, explanations, and what to do at this time were of no use. In order not to disturb Konoha, who was already nervous next to him, Liu Ren directly controlled the 2 with an illusion. Then, using the divine power, he moved to a wasteland far away from Konoha, and entered the fairy mode to sense it, confirming that there is no Baiju around. Only then did the 9 Lamas be released. After the illusion was lifted, he beat the 9 Lama violently, and the 9 Lama was slumped on the ground without the strength to get up. Then he threw the 9 Lama into his body. Another cage was rebuilt for the 9 Lamas, and the water of the crane well did not violate the river water, and the 9 Lamas only became honest. Who is this guy? In the ninja world, has another such terrible Uchiha appear? But, although he was beaten up by this guy, his attitude towards our tail beast is different from other people. The 9 Lamas lay feebly in the sealed space and thought 9 Lama didn't worry much about this. He who had seen Naruto knew that the tail beast was not as cruel and tyrannical as the ninja imagined. That is absolutely a misunderstanding. As long as the tail beast is respected, the tail beast can completely live in peace with a ninja, and Liubian's attitude towards the tail beast is completely different from that of others, which can be felt in every aspect and bit by bit of the tail beast in daily life in the future. After getting along, there is no problem. Of course, there is a prerequisite, that is Liubian has the strength to absolutely suppress these tail beasts, so that the tail beasts can listen to you and communicate with you. This does not apply to others. After Kyuubi's matter was resolved, Ryuzen went straight back to the Uchiha clan and stayed in his room. Because of the Nine Tails Rebellion, all members of the Uchiha clan are subject to Konoha's investigation, including Uchiha Tomatake, the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, and all elders and other high-level officials are no exception. Although it was known that Uchiha took this oil to kill Hokage to cause this situation, In the face of Konoha's large-scale investigation, the Uchiha clan still suffocated anger. Chapter 134. For several days, the Uchiha clan members were called into the ant base one by one, and were questioned by the investigation team. Ryubana was also regarded as a key care object by the investigation team because he had previously performed the task of recovering corpses with soil on the battlefield in the past. The ninja of the intelligence team was responsible for inquiries, and the three generations of Sarutobi and Mitomenine all stood out to observe not only Ryubana, but also Uchiha Shisu, as well as other Uchiha people who were looking for corpses with soil. Are all such VIP services, but the result is beyond doubt gain nothing. After all, the resurrection from the dead with soil really has nothing to do with Uchiha's clan. It's all Uchiha Madara. The other mysterious Uchiha has never revealed his true face in Konoha, nor has he left any clues in the Uchiha clan. Konoha's fanfare investigation has had little effect, and it can even be said that nothing has been achieved. This made Konoha's high-level staff all seem a little anxious, like the high-level Konoha of Sarutobi isn't. The person who suffers from anxiety is the first dutiful son of the ninja world, Kiriju. Ever since I took this oil to Nanga Shrine to see the steel and discovered that the steel was really tampered with, the whole person has become ill. The belief in the unlimited monthly reading plan was greatly shaken, although Zita did not restore the stone steel. I can see exactly how the content of the stone monument was modified, but even this is enough to make Zita feel confused. In the past few days, Tato has basically done nothing, and began to frantically study the information left by Uchiha Madara, trying to get more knowledge about yin and yang. What is the purpose is obvious. It is nothing more than to restore the content on the stone tablet and see how the stone tablet has been tampered with. However, the data strips left by Uchiha Madara have already seen almost the same, and there is not much knowledge about yin and yang escape. There is nothing with soil. Even with this soil, he moved to Konoha's Kaian Shao clan land, looking for Kaian Shao survivors to investigate and see if he could find clues that Kaian Shao Jianmo manipulated behind the scenes. However, I gave up because it was too unrealistic. The Senju clan was indeed Konoha's first clan, but it has long since become history. Apart from its Tsunade, who knows if there are any survivors? What's more, it has been so long, and there is almost no chance of finding anything reincarnated from the dirty soil. By the way, reincarnated from the dirty soil, after being irritated for a few days, suddenly, a bright light flashed in his head, and he thought of a good way. I remember Konoha has a forbidden technique called reincarnation of the unclean land, which can summon the souls of the dead from the pure land. As long as I learn it, I can summon Kaian Shaojin personally and ask in person. Uchiha Dato made this decision. Bring soil. Would it be too risky? You just killed Hokage, and you returned to Konoha at this time. Black and White was absolutely calm and discouraged. If this oil really learns to reincarnate from the dirty soil and summons the Kaian Shao Jianjian, you must find that Kaian Shao Jianjian is a backdoor. Then I am afraid I will be more obsessed with investigating the truth. Black and White can't really guarantee what to find out at that time. Now the Kaian Shaojin is here to carry the pot. Black and White can definitely feel a little more at ease. At least he can be sure that this is the wrong direction. Even if my teacher is still there, I am fearless. Let alone now, how can Konoha Ninja get me? Take this oil, but said very disapprovingly. Hihajo didn't say anything more. It seemed that bringing this oil had already decided, and he was determined to visit Konoha again. No, I must do something. Black and White absolutely thought of it in his heart because this oil is Konoha Ninja. He is so familiar with Konoha that he can no longer be familiar with it, so he doesn't need any preparation at all, and he just goes if he wants to. A vortex of space appeared in the base, and the body with this oil disappeared. Only Black and White left alone, staying in the base, waiting for the change of heart with this oil. The next moment, in Konoha village, shrouded in tension, a vortex of space once again appeared. A figure immediately appeared on the street. The surrounding villagers were startled for a while, and then they saw the pair of very eye-catching eyes with the earth, Shaolin Yen and Samsara Eye, those eyes, and the face, his. Uchiha brought dirt. After the surrounding villagers stayed for a while, there was a burst of exclamation. Then Zhang Wang started to flee in disarray. After all, everyone knows that Uchiha brought this oil to kill the murderer of the fourth generation of purpose. A person with tutor walked indifferently in the village, as if he hadn't seen all of this, and he almost ignored Konoha. Go and report to Naruto-sama. Uchiha is back with soil. The ninja Evand was quickly alarmed, and reported the news in the first time. Sarutobi Hitachi was about to explode. He's here again? Uchiha brought the soil. You deceived people too much. Sarutobi Izumi was really angry. Only a few days after this guy killed Bofton Shuman. At this time, he dared to come to Konoha? Sarutobi Hisaki also ignored the investigation of Uchiha's clan, and immediately began to gather people, planning to deal with Dato. However, when Sarutobi hurried away with people, Dato had disappeared in full view, and quietly appeared in the Konoha confidential archives. Now the whole village's attention has been drawn to the past, and the ninja in the confidential archives that he killed will not be discovered for a while with soil. You can look for the forbidden technique in the confidential archives room without a hassle. Found it. After a lot of searching, Bring the Soil successfully found the target, and put the scroll of forbidden technique into his own divine power space. Chapter 135. Bring Soil, what are you doing here? But at this time, suddenly a nonchalant voice sounded, shocking Uchiha with the soil. He turned around abruptly and found that he was a very strange ninja, lazily leaning on a file cabinet and looking at himself bringing the soil. Knew who this person was in an instant, with an incomparable sarcasm on his face. You are so afraid to show your true face. Apart from that, Uchiha, this person can't be anyone else. Liu Ren shrugged. You are not qualified to know who I am. With a cold smile, the tone is not small. You haven't answered me yet. What are you looking for here? Liu Ren asked rather curiously, ignoring the earthy tone ever since he mentioned the belt soil. He is still quite curious about what the belt soil will develop into next. It has nothing to do with you, Tao said to Liu Bian indifferently. However, after a pause, Tuod still asked Liu Ren, do you have any conclusive evidence of what you told me last time? Ryubana's eyes lit up involuntarily, and it seemed that Takaru had indeed been to Nanga's shrine, and indeed found the suspicious point on the stone tablet. No, Liu Ren shook his head. It's too old to find any clues, but if you find something, you can share it with me. Since you are so capable, it's better to check it yourself. After taking this oil, proudly put down this sentence. He directly used Shenwubi to leave the confidential archives room. Liu Ren shrugged and left as well. It wasn't until a while after taking this oil away that Konoha discovered what was happening in the confidential archives. After doing some inventory, it was found that the forbidden technique Dirty Soil Reincarnated was lost. All of Konoha's high-level officials looked at each other, wondering why this oil was on this knot, and suddenly stole this forbidden technique. After some deliberation, it was fruitless, so I had to give up. The investigation of the Uchiha clan continued. But until the entire Uchiha clan was investigated, no useful clues were found. After the Konoha executives discussed it, they made a decision, order the Uchiha clan to move the clan. Moreover, he moved to a very marginal place in the village. As if he was sent to the cold palace. Konoha's defense and distrust of the Uchiha clan had reached a culmination. The heroes of Uchiha's clan were angry and turned against the Sky Patriarch. What does Konoha think of us Uchiha? We can't bear it anymore. Yes. How can the pride of our Uchiha clan be trampled so much? Konoha made it clear that he wanted to drive us out of Konoha's core. We want Konoha to realize how good we are. They dare not underestimate us. Many Uchiha people are yelling at Uchiha Fude, expressing their dissatisfaction, and wanting to ask Konoha for justice. Everyone, please listen to me. At a very critical moment, Uchiha Shisu stepped forward. Shisu is famous on the battlefield, and is known as the instantaneous stopping of water. It still has a high prestige in the clan. As soon as he stood up, many people of the tribe still calmed down very face to face, and planned to listen to Zhishu's opinions. I believe the village will not maliciously suppress us. The village and our clan have a deep misunderstanding. If you believe me, please give me this mission. I will do my best to let the village eliminate prejudice against us, Zhishu sonorously said to all the tribesmen. Chapter 103. Although there were great opinions on the order to relocate the clan, the Uchiha clan finally complied with this order. All the tribes moved to the new tribe land on the edge of the village. The relationship between Konoha and the Uchiha clan was in a moment of high tension. Even the ordinary villagers of Konoha have felt this. When they see Konoha patrolling, they usually avoid it intentionally or unintentionally because they know that the Uchiha clan has been very angry these past 2 days. Then, after the guards walked far away, they cursed angrily behind their backs. It was the people of this clan who killed the Hokage-sama, who was beloved by everyone. Some other ninjas also avoided the Uchiha clan intentionally or unintentionally, but what makes Liu Bian more gratified is that he is not a friend of Metke, and Zirihan, a confidant, has not let him down either. The two knew that the Uchiha clan had been severely suppressed by the village. Not only did they not draw a line with Ryun at this time, but they also voluntarily ran over to find Ryun. Liu Ren, I've been greedy these days. Let's go eat barbecue together, Yurihong said to Liu Ren very intimately. Yeah, I have been training a lot these days, and I need to replenish my energy. Medkay also pretended to say to Liu Bian with ease, Liu Bian knows that all things that are great and replenishing energy are all excuses. These two people were afraid that they were in a bad mood, so they came to accompany them on purpose. How could he not understand? Haha, walk around. Anyway, someone treats guests, don't eat white, don't eat, Liu Ren said to the two with a smile. The three people talked and laughed, and came to the rotisserie as if nothing had happened. But just as they walked into the store, several people felt that the atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Those other diners who were still talking and laughing, subconsciously stopped talking after seeing Liu Bian. One by one looked at Liu Jian with a dazzling look. No way. A series of things made the Uchiha family's current situation in the village very embarrassing. It seems that there is no seat inside, otherwise let's go eat the three-color meatballs. Zaruhan hurriedly changed her words. Eating barbecue is a bit ill-considered. Considering Uchiha's current situation, the appearance of Ryuzen will definitely be looked at by everyone since meatballs is a street stall, so you don't need to enter the store to eat. It is more suitable. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136. Why don't you have a seat, isn't it there? Liu Bian pointed to a place near the corner, and smiled and took Yuri Hong's hand. Don't worry about me, you all think too much, I'm fine. Let's go. Speaking, dragged Hong and walked in. Hong and Mepke glanced at each other, but they could only follow Liu Bian with a trace of worry. However, after a meal, the two found that they seemed to really think too much, and Liu Bian was still laughing and joking as usual. There was no sense of depression, anxiety, anger and other bad emotions between the eyebrows, and the two of them were relieved. After the meal, Liu Ren relentlessly drove away this extra thing Matkai, and took a walk in the village with Hong. The mood is still very good. After returning to his room, Liu Bian went to the Shenwubi space to check the situation of the Red Sand Scorpion after the Nine Tails Rebellion ended. Liu Bian installed the control center of the Red Sand Scorpion back. It stands to reason that the Red Sand Scorpion should come back to life, but several days passed, and the Scorpion of Red Sand did not move. If it were not for the energy fluctuations in the control center, Liu Bian felt that the Red Sand Scorpion was dead. It seems that the control of the Soul Puppet and Liu Bian's fight has caused a lot of backlash to the Red Sand Scorpion. Liu Bian also didn't know exactly when the Red Sand Scorpion would recover, so he just came in after a short interval. But this time, what made Liu Bian a little surprised was that the Red Sand Scorpion woke up unexpectedly. What is the technique you used to deal with my Soul Puppet? The Scorpion of the Red Sand asked without any nonsense when they met. This is his biggest concern. If you want to know, give me your Soul Puppet technique first, Liu Ren said blankly to the Red Sand Scorpion. The Red Sand Scorpion was a little reluctant, but that was his biggest assassin. How could he easily hand it over? This is an alien space that I own. There's only you in the entire space. It just so happens that you don't need to eat or drink. You can stay in one place forever. I will give you enough time for you to think about it. After Liu Bian finished saying this sentence, he stopped paying attention to the Red Sand Scorpion, and directly retreated from the divine mighty space. A puppet like the Red Sand Scorpion can't be controlled by illusion, nor can it be tortured or tortured. Of course, torture is not easy to do anyway. He was just curious about the Soul Puppet technique, and didn't want it urgently, so he didn't mind playing slowly with the Red Sand Scorpion. In the afternoon, the patrol continued on the way. Liu Bian suddenly felt a chakra wave from the black rod. He gave Oshimaru a Shemaru is calling him. Liu Bian naturally did not hesitate. After leaving behind a shadow clone, he directly used his divine power to appear at the location of the black stick hum. The space vortex appeared, and Liu Bian's figure appeared. He turned his head and looked around, and found that it was a dark and humid room with a faint smell of sea in the air. Liu Ren immediately understood where he appeared. It must be the secret test base of Dashimaru on the island, Master Liu Bian. A slightly hoarse voice sounded, and it was undoubtedly a Shemaru, beside a Shemaru, followed by Junmaro with a timid look. After not seeing him in just over 2 months, Junmaro has undergone earth-shaking changes at this moment. His face has become a light ruddy, and his eyes have lustrous. It's simply a brand new look. But think about it, how can life in jail compare with now, Master Ryubana? Junmaro also greeted Ryubana. Liu Ren looked at Junmaro's bulging face, and couldn't help reaching out and touching it, squeezing it. It felt really good. Junmaro didn't dodge or dodge. He raised his head and looked at Liu Bian. His eyes were incomparably blank. Master Ryubana, what are you doing? Is it testing my roots? What kind of training should I be carried out? Poor Junmaro. Living in Wu Ain is simply not a human life, and he can't even understand such intimate behaviors between people. It seems that Ryubana-sama likes Junmaro very much. Do you want to take Junmaro with you? As Samaru suggested on the side. Not yet time, after all, I am still Konoha ninja. Ryubana shook his head. With the strength of Master Ryubane, it is easy to be Hokage. Shenmue stretched out her tongue to lick, and said casually, as long as you become Hokage, Master Ryubane will do whatever you want. Liu Ren was uncomfortable about this. He was not a too ambitious person at first, and he hadn't thought about being a Hokage or something. The temporary goal is to keep signing in and constantly make yourself stronger, so that you can reach the invincibility of the universe. At least Kaguya-ji's resurrection will not threaten her, the Atsuki clan on the moon will not threaten her, and Taoshiki and other Atsuki family will not threaten herself. When they descend on the ninja world, Kaguya and Datongmu were sent by the Datongmu clan to plant and guard the sacred tree. Sooner or later, their clan would come. When the Datongmu clan saw the chakras that were supposed to belong to the sacred tree, they were scattered throughout the ninja realm, and they would definitely recover them. In fact, the Datongmu people such as Taoshi and Jinshi in the future have indeed done so. Flowing Edge naturally had to guard against. Of course, this is only for now. No one knows what will happen in the future, and it is hard to say that one day Liu Ren will really become Hokage. Okay, Shenmue, what can I do if I come here? Is the matter I handed over to you more interesting? Liu Bian asked. Shenmue shook his head. The two peoples Yuli disappeared in the ninja for many years. They are not so easy to find. I don't have enough manpower now, but, speaking of this, Shenmue's conversation turned. I have another new discovery. Takagakura, Nanao is in this village. Takagakura. Liu Bian thought about it carefully, and recalled that this village had come. This is a village that appeared in the Naruto theater version, also called Bakuin Village. It is sandwiched by 4 countries, but surrounded by waterfalls on all sides, and its geographical location is very secret. This kind of secrecy is true secrecy. It is not as simple as being surrounded by water like mist hidden, but hidden in one waterfall after another. Even the entrance to the village is within the waterfall, just like the Huagushin Water Curtain Cave. Chapter 137. If there is no acquaintance to lead the way, it is almost impossible for an outsider to find it. Where did you find this village? Liu Ren's eyes lit up slightly. Aside from the 2 people who left his village, Ziuli, Takagakura was indeed the best choice. This village was originally a small village, and its geographical location was also very secretive. This can be regarded as an unintentional gain. I was looking for a suspected Yugao, and later found that it was a wrong clue, but I accidentally discovered the entrance of Takagakura. I thought, anyway, Master Ryuban needs a tail beast. Since the other 2 people have not found Zuli, it's better to go to Takagakura first. Dashiwan said wisely. You already know that my target is all tail beasts. Liu Ren shrugged and looked at Shenmue and asked, I've heard about Konoha? The other person outside of Uchiha's belt, isn't you Ryubana-sama? Although I don't know what Ryubian-sama's purpose is, but you shot Kyuubi at that time, and coupled with the task you gave me, Ryubian-sama's goal is not difficult to guess. Dashiwan analyzes it lightly. Yes, it's worthy of Sanin. A little bit of wind can let you analyze the truth. Liu Ren nodded approvingly. The ability of Shenmue is beyond doubt, and this one can be said to be very worthwhile. In that case, let's go. Liu Bian immediately put his hand on Dashiwan's shoulder and sucked Dashiwan into the divine mighty space. Camaro, are you staying here, or are you going with you? Ryan looked at Junmaro again with inquiries. I want to go with you. Junmaro thought for a while, with a serious expression on his face. If that's the case, let's go. Ryu Blade immediately sucked Junmaro into the divine power space. Almost to the next moment, Ryubian used the magical technique to bring Shenmue and Junmaro together, and appeared at the foot of a mountain. When I look around, I see towering peaks all around, and many waterfalls on the mountainside are rushing down. And the environment is very good. It can be said to be beautiful and outstanding. Master Ryubane, come with me. In that waterfall is Takagakura village. Dashimaru pointed at a waterfall in the distance, and then led the way for Liu Ren. Whoosh whoosh. Several people started the instantaneous technique, flew around on top of each boulder, and soon came outside of one of the waterfalls. After passing through the waterfall, I found that there really is a cave inside, and there are ponds after another on the ground. Swimming in here, you can go straight to Takion village. After Dashimaru finished speaking this sentence to Liu Jian, he jumped straight into one of the ponds. Liu Bian, don't mention how speechless he is. Does the location of Takion village need to be so secretive? It's like a maze if no one leads the way. Even if someone accidentally breaks into this waterfall, it is impossible to find this secret entrance, right? Ryubana and Junmaro also jumped into that pond one after another, and as expected, they found that the water below connects to a larger water area. After swam to the larger waters, I swam for a while before reaching the shore. He popped his head, and sure enough, a very beautiful village appeared in front of everyone. This kind of secretiveness is at the extreme point, even Baiju can't find it, right? Liu Ren couldn't help but think so in his heart. He immediately entered the fairy mode, felt it for a moment, and found that there was indeed no hidden Baiju everywhere. Obviously, Baiju still doesn't know this place yet. Let's go, look for Rinzuli. Liu Bian greeted Drshuan and began to go ashore and walked in the direction of the main road of the village. But after walking for a while, a few people felt something was wrong. Although Takagakura is a small village, it won't even be found after entering, right? Don't everyone hide in the house in broad daylight. After entering the village, I even found some people running home in a panic, still exclaiming in their mouths, "The horns are here! The horns are here again! Everyone, go home and hide!" Old man Jiotu. Liu Ren groaned slightly, and soon remembered that Jiotu was the rebellious forbearance of Takion village, and seemed to have a grudge with the village. Kokura's secret technique of grievance was to kill the ninja in Takion village and then it from the village. It seems that Jiotu returned to Takion village this time. I am afraid that it was not to revisit the village to miss the village, but mostly to retaliate against the village. Let's go. Go and see. Kakuto is very strong, and Takagura village can't be its opponent. Most of them will use the strength of the human column, Liubian said to several people in Deshemru chapter 104. Jiotu, did you drop this hand after making the decision? Ryubian entered the fairy mode, covering the entire Takagakura village at once. The chakra situation of the ninja in the entire village was sensed by Liubian because of its unique chakra attributes. The horns were found by Liu Jian almost instantly. The 5-attribute chakra is still so powerful. There is no doubt that this is the corner. Let's go over. Chakras with 5 attributes are extremely rare in the entire ninja world. Except for Konoha's Saratobi, no one has heard of them. I met it in Takagakura, and I can guess it with my thigh. It must be a corner. Whoosh whoosh. At the moment, Liu Jian led both Ashemaru and Junmaro, and began to rush towards Kazuto straight forward along the foot of a mountain, and then through a small forest. At the end of a clearing, you can see a few figures flashing from a distance. Chapter 138. A large number of black lines on one of them are floating outside. Isn't it the old man Jiotu? Boom boom boom, jingle bells. The two sides are fighting fiercely. However, Kakuto's strength was a bit stronger compared to the ninjas in Takagakura, and the few ninjas who were fighting against him were all beaten up. Jiotu, things have passed so long, don't you have to ruin the village? After a fierce face-to-face meeting, the current strongest person in Takion village, Shibuki, who is also the head of Takion village, shouted at the corner with full of anger and solemnity. And besides Shibumu, there are the other 4 Shangren. Now they are the last elites in Takagakura. I gambled my life for the village, but in exchange it was the village's betrayal. From the moment I escaped from the village, I had already decided that the village would be destroyed sooner or later, Jiotu said coldly. His eyes were extremely cold, like a robot, without a trace of expression. During the Warring States period, Jiotu had accepted the village's task to assassinate the first generation of Hokage, but the result was undoubtedly unquestionable, and Jiotu was defeated. The defeat was so complete that his life was almost lost. The first generation was at the same level as a god. How could Shangren in a small village be able to kill it? Taking into account the strength of the first generation, even if the mission failed, Jiotu was regarded as the hero of the village, but after he returned to the village, he received a heavy punishment from the village. In a rage, Jiotu escaped from prison and took away the village's secret art of grievances. By constantly changing the heart, he has survived until now. Jiotu, all the people back then are dead, and the matter has passed. Village chief Shiki cried, staring at Jiotu. I'm not dead yet, Jiotu said coldly. The village chief, there is no other way now. We can only use the water of heroes. One of them, Shinobu, shouted to the village chief Shibuki with difficulty. Heroes' water is a very peculiar kind of water in Takagakura village. After drinking it, it can make people's chakras increase dozens of times, but there is a fatal weakness. Once you drink this kind of water, it will cause incalculable damage to your body, and you may simply be abolished. Therefore, the village head Shiki generally strictly forbids the ninjas in the village to use it, just as a whole card to deter other countries. But now, the situation is so critical that there is no choice. Listen, Everyone, now, I allow you to drink the water of heroes. Shimu gritted his teeth and said to the other 4 Shangren. Several people took out a small bottle from their backpacks at the same time, and then opened their mouths and drank it into their mouths. Jiaodu just stood on the side watching with cold eyes, and did not stop. He just wanted to let these ninjas exhaust all their moves before killing them mercilessly. This allows the opponent to feel desperate to the greatest extent. Boom, boom, boom. After the chief of Shiki village drank the water of heroes, one by one was like opening the 8-door dungeon, and the whole person burst out with a terrible chakra wave. Heroic water? I will let you see in a moment that what you are proud of is useless at all. There was a vicious expression in Jiaodu's voice. However, at the same time, Jiao didn't dare to be careless, and he used the secret technique of resentment. And the 2 mask monsters were directly released by him. One is the fire escape mask monster, and the other is the thunder mask monster. Shoot together. Group Shui done. Water dragon bomb. At this time, Shimu gave a deep and stern cry, and his hands began to seal quickly, and the other 4 Shangren also started to seal according to Shimu's order. Wow! 5 huge water dragons condensed in an instant, and they began to rush towards the corners together. Now the chakras of the several people in Shimu have increased dozens of times, and now they are still in the environment of the water. The power of the 5 water dragons is still very powerful in terms of attack power alone. It is simply impossible for a general shadow to want to be hardwired. Even if it is Liu Bian, you must enter the fairy mode to be able to stop it. Of course, what I'm talking about here is hardwired. There are thousands of methods that can be used in the real battle. Hard on hand is always the most unwise one. Seeing the powerful attack power after drinking the hero's water, the faces of several people in Shimu finally flashed with relief. No matter how powerful the corner is, it is impossible to stop this trick. But seeing that Jiaodu is still standing in place with great stability, without dodge or avoiding, there is no slight change in expression on his face, and it is still as stable as an old dog. Snapped. Both hands slapped the corner. The 2 mask monsters immediately fought back. Hold on, head hard, call. The fire escape mask monster suddenly spit out an earth-shattering sea of fire towards the 3 of them. Yes, the fire escape ninjutsu is so amazing. The flames spit out are almost overwhelming. More amazing than Uchiha Madara's fire escape ninjutsu. It was almost like a flood, rushing towards Shimu and the others. The fire escape in Jiaodu is so awesome. The 5 water dragons that had erupted were completely blocked by the corners of the fire and escaped. The blocking was so easy and pleasant, as if it was not effortless at all. Nani, how can it be? Shimu and the others were all stunned. How could the horns be so strong? I want to complain to Kishimoto. You are secretly opening up Kokudo. Lay done. False darkness. Chapter 139. After the Hodun mask blocked the water dragon bombs of several people in Shedding Mu, the other masked monster was not idle, so through the water dragon bullets, several blue thunder and lightning were shot at several people in Shedding Mu. It can be said that Lei Dun was innately restrained from water escape, and those blue thunder and lightning directly drilled through the bodies of several water dragons. It was smashing on several people in Shimu as if struck by lightning. Several people in Shimu were shocked, and all fell to the ground upside down, each of them spouting a big mouthful of blood. One by one fell to the ground like a puddle of mud, and couldn't even get up. The backlash caused by the heroic water on them, coupled with the powerful thunder from Jiaodu, the village chief Shiki, was already considered fatal if they weren't dead. But even so, it has completely lost combat effectiveness. Is this Jiaodu? It's simply an unmatched monster. Seeing that step by step toward their corner capital, the eyes of village chief Shiki flashed incomparable despair. Are there any other tricks? Jiaodu stood in front of a few people and glanced at them condescendingly. His words became colder and colder. If not, your life, I will take it away. Village chief Shiki and the others didn't say much. They just stared at the corners, filled with resentment. Die? Jiaodu extended his hand to the village chief Shibuki on the ground. His hand was like a flying fist, and he flew out directly from his arm. He pinched the head of Shibumu by the neck just as Jiaodu was about to directly twist the neck of village chief Shibuki. A cold voice suddenly rang. No, right? You are all going to be killed soon. Why don't you send someone on? The plot shouldn't be played like this. Liu Ren was really surprised. The village was about to be wiped out. What's the point of hiding nuclear weapons? In my impression, Tokiian village is a small village. It can even be said to be so small that there are basically no masters in the theater version. A betrayal Hook led a group of people to directly control the entire village, and the 3 ninjas who had just graduated from the ninja school in the 7th class were able to save the village. And through the perception of the fairy mode just now, the only few Shengrin in the entire village are concentrated here. If the village is all killed, there will be no endurance. It's time for the village's peril. Okay, when will the force of the human column be used at this time? Who? Jiaodu was shocked suddenly, turned his head abruptly, and saw a young man walking towards him leisurely. Behind the young man, 2 other people, one big and one small, were half a beat behind, and followed unhurriedly. Konoha-sanin, a Shimaru. Soon, Jiao recognized the identity of a Shimaru, and was shocked again, and Convection became even more uncertain about the identity of Convection Blade. Even people like a Shimaru have a posture of following this person. Who is this person? Sacred, puff, just like throwing garbage. He threw village chief Shibuki aside, and the corners began to turn around, looking carefully at Liu Jian. Sure enough, this teenager gave him a very uncomfortable feeling. There are few people from Shimu village on one side. Look at me and I look at you. They are at a loss. They don't know where these people came from. You are the helpers they got. Jiaodu stared at Liu Ren with a solemn expression on his face, and asked in a deep voice, do you think it depends on them? Do you have this ability? Liu Ren shrugged, and asked calmly. The corners were dumb, too, just relying on a few ninjas in the Takagakura district. How could it be possible to invite people of Konoha-sanin's level? Then what is the purpose of your appearance? The corner paused, and continued to ask in a deep voice, originally I came here for Nanao, but I didn't expect to meet you, Jiaodu. Just because I still lack a few men, why don't you go with me? Liu Ren said to the corner with a serious face. Jiaodu sneered directly, hey, boy, if you think that you rely on the big snake pill, the old man will not dare to kill you. Then you are very wrong. From the Warring States period to the present corner capital, all kinds of physique and ninjutsu have reached the pinnacle level. After so many years, even the chakra in a body has accumulated to a terrible situation. Coupled with the secret technique of resentment, he has 5 chakra attributes. Even if he faces the Oshimaru, he dare to fight. Ha! A Shimaru, who has never spoken much, said at this time, Your Excellency Jiaodu, you made a mistake. It's not Master Liubian relying on me, but I relying on Master Liubian. Jiaodu, did you make a mistake? Dashiwan could say such a thing. Isn't this a Shimaru pretending to be someone else? Master Liubian, although it may be a bit redundant to ask, but do you need me to take action to help you conquer the corner? Oshimaru turned to Liu Jian, turning his head as if nothing was happening. No, since I want to subdue Jiaodu, then let me do it myself. What I like the most is actually to convince people with strength. Liu Ren smiled lightly. Ha! You really didn't put the old man in your eyes. You kid, if you speak such a madman, the old man will have to see how much you have. Jiaodu snorted coldly at this time. Click, the ground next to Liubian was suddenly broken, and one of Jiaodu's hand grabbed Liubian's neck as fast as lightning. From a very tricky angle, Liubian stood still, like an unknown prophet, and slammed his right hand outwards casually. Chapter 140. He firmly grasped Jiaodu's hand. In his hand, Jiaodu's pupils shrank slightly, and the leopard could be seen in the tube. This skill is enough to show that the other party is really strong. Shenwubi, click, the black lines connecting the broken arm of the corner and the right hand were directly cut off by Liubian with a long-range divine might. The pupils of the corners shrank again. What kind of weird method is this? If I hit my neck, wouldn't my head have to move? Jiaodu's contempt for Convection Blade disappeared in an instant, and an extremely solemn expression appeared on his face. Mr. Jiaodu, you dropped this right hand, didn't you? Liu Ren smiled lightly and threw the severed right hand towards Jiaodu. A large number of black lines appeared on the corner of the right arm again, automatically connected to his right hand, and then his palm slammed the 2 masked monsters outside. Immediately launched an attack on Lei Blade. Hodun, head hard, Lei Dun, false darkness. The extremely exaggerated Hodun, the fierce Lei Dun, at the same time crossed a Liubian and crushed the past, but Liubian seemed to have not seen it at all, wandering leisurely in the boundless sea of fire and thunder. As if entering the land of no one, calmly walked towards the 2 masked monsters. Chapter 105. Heiju and Detongmu's conspiracy. What happened? Why does my attack seem to have no effect on him? Jiaodu, who launched a fierce attack on Liu Jian, was stunned, completely unable to understand what had happened. This scene was really weird to him. Could it be that he was defeated by illusion? It shouldn't be. Seeing Liubian's leisurely figure getting closer and closer to him, Jiaodu secretly felt a trace of anxiety in his heart, and began to control the 2 masked monsters to attack Liubian more and more fiercely. However, Nothing can be achieved. I can only watch Ryubana get closer and closer to him. Shenwubi, click, click. When the two masked monsters entered the range of the long-range divine power, Ryubana glanced at the two masked monsters faintly. The two masked monsters broke apart immediately, and the terrifying attack naturally disappeared. The two masked monsters and Gyoudo rushed to the streets so easily. Nanny. What's the matter? Gyoudo almost stared his eyes out. His face was full of shock, and at the same time he felt a great pressure. This young man's methods were too weird. He didn't even realize what was going on, and the two masked monsters were killed. 2 lives were lost in such a vague way. The village chief Shibumu on one side was also stunned. The 5 of them were still trampled by the horns under their feet even after they drank the heroic water, weak and small like an ant. But this person killed the 2 masked monsters and Gyoudo casually. Where's this person sacred? Realizing that the powerful horns dare to be the slightest careless at this moment, he gritted his teeth and released the other 2 masked monsters. The Fengdu masked monster and the Hokage masked monster suddenly jumped out, and under the control of Gyoudo, they merged into one body and merged into the same body. Snapped. Gyoudo suddenly slapped his palms. Compound ninja art. Flame wind turbulence. Call. The fire escape mask spewed out an exaggerated large sea of fire from the mouth of the S-level. While the wind escape mask spewed a terrifying and violent hurricane from its mouth, the sea of fire and the hurricane are organically blended together, forming an impactful hurricane of fire. This level of technique deserves to be Gyoudo. There was a hint of approval in Ryubana's eyes, and he nodded and casually praised. It's like a big figure standing at the top of the ninja pyramid, seeing 2 children at the foot of the pyramid playing a slingshot and playing well. Just casually comment. This makes the horns feel very uncomfortable, but useless. Immediately after the conversation turned, Ryubana slammed his hands to the ground, and a piece of dust suddenly rose from the ground. An absolute defense was formed, and the terrifying tornado of the sea of fire that hit the corners was firmly blocked. Magnetic escape placer gold? Isn't this Luosha's technique? How can this person do it? The look of surprise in Gyoudo's eyes became heavier, and at the same time, his complexion became more solemn. This person used that weird technique to instantly destroy his 2 masked monsters, which has already made him extremely afraid, and now he has magnetic dust again. It's no longer something that all corners can handle. Chapter 141. Boom. When those surprised thoughts flashed in Gyoudo's mind, some giant sand hands suddenly burst out of the ground under his feet, and they started to grab Gyoudo and the other 2 masked monsters fiercely. At this moment, Ryubana was already in the fairy mode, and the power of magnetic escape dust was much stronger than Luosha. Even when the defensive corners are attacking at the same time, the power is not to be underestimated. Gyoudo immediately began to dodge using the instantaneous technique, and at the same time controlled the other 2 masked monsters to dodge. But after all, he couldn't hide from Ryubana's devil's claws. It was just a moment's effort, and the masked monster was held by the 2 gold dust claws. Layers of sand seemed to have a soul under Ryubana's control, and actively climbed onto the masked monster, wrapping the masked monster into Onchuin. When this time had come, the masked monster's attack was naturally interrupted abruptly. Sandful funeral. At this time Ryubana gave a strange grip to the mask. Boom. The sand that wrapped the masked monster into a ball exploded directly, and the masked monster inside was exploded so that there was no residue left. There is no doubt that he can't die anymore. Gyoudo, now you only have 1 life left. Do you want to continue? If you die again, then you will really die. Ryubana withdrew his hand immediately, as if he had done a trivial thing, and glanced lightly at the corner Gudong. Gyoudo couldn't help but swallowed fiercely. Sweat came out of his forehead. The strength of the young man in front of him has completely exceeded his expectations. It is simply ridiculously strong. How long has it been since he fought this person? The 4 masked monsters were all killed by the opponent. Moreover, the horns are not blind, and it can be seen that the other party has not used any effort at all. Just casually. Twice the strength of this person is simply terrifying. When did such a monster appear in the ninja world? At this moment, the corner finally understood why Dashuin was willing to follow this person. What do you think of my horn? Although shocked in his heart, Gyoudo's face was still cold, and he did not give in. I want me to recognize you as the master like a big snake pill. Don't be kidding. Ryubana naturally didn't really naively think that even if he defeated the horns, he would follow him obediently. When people at the level of Gyoudo want to use death to deter them, it would really be too small for them. But when it was not necessary, Ryubana didn't want to use illusion to control them. Just like playing a game, it was really meaningless to open a cheat device. Gyoudo, believe me, there is no one in this world who knows you better than me. Follow me and I will give you what you want most. Liu Ren said calmly to the corner. Haha, Jiao couldn't help but sneered. Does this person want to use some grand-sounding principles to brainwash himself? It's simply a horror of slipping the world. In the past, he was brainwashed by Takagakura, and even the ninja dared to kill him. What was the result? It ended in a brutal betrayal. Since then, Jiao has seen through the true face of this ninja world, and everything except real money is not worthy of trust. I really want to know, what can you give me? Jiao Du asked Liu Bian with an incomparable sneer. Money. There is no long story as imagined, only this simple word that Liu Bian promised to Jiao Du. Jiao Du was stunned for a moment. This answer was beyond his expectation. It seems that you really know me well. The corners all smiled. When it comes to money, the old man is not sleepy anymore. His eyes are radiating light. These on the ground are treated as deposits first. How about? Liu Bian pointed his finger at the golden sand he had condensed with a magnetic evacuated dust. Yes. Of course there is no problem, as long as the money is in place. It is quite refreshing, and I agree without any discount. Then he began to carefully take out a scroll, and began to seal the dust on the ground bit by bit. That is called hard work. While the seal was being sealed, he murmured, these golden sands are a bit rough, and I need to sift them when I go back. Some are busy. Liu Bian didn't interrupt Jiao Du, just stood aside and looked at the old man's seal cheerfully. After the seal was over, Jiao Du directly asked, what do I need to do? It's completely a posture driven by the king. You follow Deshuan first, and Deshuan will tell you the specific requirements, Liu Ren said diagonally, and smoothly gave him a black rod of reincarnation. If you want to contact me for anything, just inject a chakra into it. If you feel that the commission I gave is not enough and you need to add money, just tell me directly, Liu Ren said to the corner again. This kind of generous posture makes Cocteau more satisfied with Liu Ren. Where can such employers who let you open money go to find? I think we will cooperate very happily in the future. Jiao Du put away the black rod of reincarnation with satisfaction. The village chief Shimu on one side felt that something was wrong more and more. At first, when the uninvited guest easily suppressed Jiao Du, they secretly breathed a sigh of relief, feeling that Jiao Du's threat was finally relieved. But how can this person and horns become a group in a blink of an eye? Seeing that Liu Ren looked at the village chief Shibuki and several people, Jiao Ji asked very reliably, I just received your money. If you need it, I can do it for you. I'll do it myself. Liu Ren smiled, and then walked directly towards the head of Shibumu. Village chief Shiki suddenly felt extremely tense, and their bodies straightened suddenly. This existence is a super who can easily crush his horns. Chapter 142. The pressure on them is too great. What do you want to do? Is it because of the water of heroes? With your strength, you don't need this kind of thing at all, right? Village Mayor Shiki was extremely nervous, and sweat was all on his forehead. Let's not talk about these issues. I'm just curious. Why don't you call Rensuhuli when you are dying? Could it be that after you are killed, are there other ninjas in the village who can block Katato? Liu Bian's words caused the head of Shiki village to be stunned, and they didn't seem to understand why the other party would ask such inexplicable questions at this time. But then, Mr. Shiki's complexion changed. Are you here for the tail beast? The other Shengrin on one side also changed their expressions wildly. With this person's perverted strength, what power do they have to protect the tail beast? Interesting. Is the lord trying to the tail beast? Horn all murmured on the side. Then you can call Rensuhuli out. Liu Bian smiled at Shimu, but to Shimu, the smile looked like a devil. Die this heart. Even if I die, I won't tell you. Village chief Shiki snorted heavily, and shouted with a tone of death, it's up to you. Liu Ren shrugged, the eyes in his pupils turned, switched to the state of riding round eyes, and directly controlled the village chief Shiki with illusion. Now, go and call out the Nanao Rensuhuli. Liu Ren casually instructed the village head Shiki, there is currently no one in our village. Nanao is sealed in a special sealed container. Village Mayor Shiki said to Liu Jian with a dull gaze. The village chief, can't say it, the village, bang bang bang. After he flew all the upper ninjas casually, Liu Ren continued to say to the village chief Shiki with a trace of curiosity, aren't you guys who have the strength? In the impression, Nanao Rensuhuli is a female ninja named Fu, but counting the time, the opponent should be just a child at this time. Maybe he hasn't become a pillar of 7 tails yet. Liu Ren asked Nanao about the specific situation, and quickly got the answer. It turned out that Takagakura was only a small village, and it was not so easy to find a suitable person. Therefore, Nanao was sealed in a sealed container for a long time. When it is necessary to fight, Takagakura will release Nanao and control it to fight. However, as the years passed, The power of the seal in the sealing container became weaker and weaker, and the ninja of Takagakura was afraid that Nanao would not be able to seal it back after releasing Nanao. That's why I dare not let it out easily, because once it is released, it is hard to say whether the enemy will die or not. Takagakura is sure to be over. No wonder, it's time for life and death, and they don't release Nanao? Liu Ren suddenly realized that it was not because they didn't want it, but because they couldn't. But this is not a problem for Liu Bian. He immediately told Shimu, "Lead the way, go and release Nanao." Shimu is now completely a puppet of Liu Bian, and immediately leads the way after hearing this, and executes the order without any compromise. "So Ryubana-sama, will you also destroy Takagakura?" It's just that with the means of Ryubana-sama, you don't need that kind of thing at all. Gyouto also started the instantaneous technique to follow behind, guessing with great interest, if you are going to destroy this kind of village, is it worth Master Liu Bian's visit in person? Dashiwan said with a harsh smile on the side. It sounds like crazy, but it is really the truth. Such small villages can be wiped out without any effort, not to mention the Flowblade in the end. Several people followed the village Hachiki and appeared in front of the sealed container with Nanao. All of them could clearly feel the seven-tailed chakra coming from there. "Open the seal, village chief," Liu Bian said to Shimu with a trace of expectation. Shimu was under Liu Bian's control at this moment, and no matter what kind of order he gave, he didn't give the slightest discount. Following Liu Bian's order, he opened the seal on the sealed container without even blinking his eyes. A group of terrifying tail beasts, chakra burst out, and instantly enveloped everyone on the scene. No, Lord Shimu, stop the village chief." Two anxious and panicked voices sounded, but the few Takajide Murakami Shinobu who was fighting side by side with Shibuki finally rushed over. Seeing that Shibumu really wanted to release Nanao, his expression suddenly changed. However, they were a step slower after all. When they arrived, they happened to see the scene where Shibumu released Nanao. "I finally see the sun again." Immediately after that, Nanao's angry, depressed, and roar full of endless murderous intent rang out. Being sealed in a sealed container is even more uncomfortable than being sealed in Rensuhuli's body. God knows how much anger Nanao has been holding back over the years. It's over. The village is over. Several Shangren's faces showed incomparable despair and powerlessness. Their legs softened, and they knelt on the ground with a thud. Nanao was actually released. Gyouto was a little surprised and muttered to himself, "With such a large handwriting, Master Liu Bian is really not a waiter." It's true that Liu Jian suppressed Nanao's generation sign in location this time, and did not deliberately conceal the people like a Shemru in the horns, because it doesn't make much sense to do so on the day of the Kyuubi rebellion. It was impossible for Kuro to be ignorant of the fact that Ryukin and Motao made such a big movement in Konoha. That being the case, Liu Bian didn't have the need to keep secret when suppressing the tail beast. "You people, you are going to die." Amidst the roar, Nanao glanced at the few people standing in front of her eyes, without saying anything, spread her wings and flew towards them. It's really rude. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143. Liu Bian didn't panic or rushed, and he didn't forget to make a comment at this critical moment. Others did not dodge, and instantly entered the fairy mode, and then patted the ground with both hands, and the magnetic evacuated placer gold used an extremely huge gold dust fist appeared, and it slammed Nanao's head with a violent bang, and even knocked Nanao upside down. Boom! Nanao's huge body directly smashed to the ground, causing the entire ground to be smashed. What a terrible power this is! Gyouto couldn't help but murmured in admiration. This is awesome. How can it be? Both Takagura Kamanin doubted if they had read it wrong, but that was the tail beast. The pinnacle of power in the entire ninja world. There are people who can absolutely suppress their power. How come? How come? Nanao uttered an extremely angry roar, fluttered his wings and flew over again, and spit out a tail of beast jade towards Liu Bian. These people, no, it's tail beast jade? Gyouto's complexion changed, and he flashed aside for the first moment. However, I saw that neither Dashemaru nor the white-haired child stood calmly beside Liu Ren, neither planning to dodge, let alone fighting together, as if very sure Liu Bian could block the tail beast jade's attack. Are they so confident of Master Liu Bian? Gyouto couldn't help but cast his gaze on Liu Ren, but saw that Liu Ren was still standing comfortably, and he didn't seem to make any moves. That beast jade is coming in an instant. How does Master Liu Bian deal with it? Shenwubi, Liu Bian's long range divine might directly used, and a group of spatial vortex suddenly appeared in the air, covering the entire tail beast jade that kid eyed out. The space was distorted, and the tail beast jade disappeared in front of everyone. It was so easy and pleasant to be cracked by Ryuban with his left eye transplanted from Itato. Kakashi used to transfer the arrow of Saseo shot by Sasuke Susanoo, transferred Naruto's spiral pill, and Ryublade transferred a tail beast jade at this moment, too. There is no problem, Gyouto. Is it this weird and powerful method again? Come down on you. After easily cracking the tail beast jade, Ryuban's palm slapped to the ground again, and the force of the magnetic escape was used, and a huge gold dust fist fell from the sky and hit Nanao's body severely. He smashed Nanao abruptly from the sky to the ground, and fell directly in front of Liu Ren. Outrageous! Who is this person? An incomparable horror flashed through Nanao's eyes. In front of this young ninja, he didn't even have any resistance at all, being ravaged from beginning to end. Liu Ren didn't pay attention to Nanao. At this time, he looked at Nanao's eyes, the writing wheel in his pupils turned around, and directly controlled Nanao with illusion. Nanao's pupils also flashed through the shadow of the writing wheel, and then suddenly became blank but sluggish again. Sleep, Liu Ren ordered casually. Nanao lay down in front of Liu Ren so honestly, motionless. The two Tokigura ninjas who were about to be frightened, wiped the sweat from their foreheads profusely, and the whole person was soaked with sweat at this moment. Master Ryublade, is it still like Kyuubi? Will Nanao be sealed again after a while? Shemuru asked at this time. Yes, wait a while, Liu Ren answered casually as Shemuru and Junmaro stopped talking, and stood quietly beside Ryun. Not asking too much, and waited there with Ryun as for the few Kaminin from Takagakura. They were anxious and stunned, but they were helpless no matter it is Ryuban or Shemuru. No one pays attention to them, but they are also very sad and helpless. No way, the Shinins of Takion village are here. Even if they are asked to move the rescuers, they are not there to move at present. All they can do is to fidget here, and watch Liu Ren being nonsense anxiously. As for the old man Gyouto, he is also a very interesting person, although he is very puzzled and curious about Ryuban's practice, but he didn't ask too much anyway. As long as Ryuban gave him a lot of money, everything would be fine. The sign-in location Chongming is generated. Half an hour later, when the system reminder sounded in Ryun's mind, he stared at the two Tokigami with amazement, and sealed Nanao Shigeaki again. Okay. Let's go. Ryujin clapped his hands, as if he had done a trivial thing, greeted everyone, and left Takion village leisurely. Of course, Mr. Shiki's illusion was also relieved by Ryuban. When Mr. Shiki heard what Ryujin was doing, it was really daunting. He didn't understand what Ryujin wanted to do at all. He hurriedly checked the seal on the sealed container, and village chief Shiki was even more stunned. The seal has been completely reinforced. From now on, we no longer have to worry about Nanao's problem. Village Chief Shiki couldn't believe his eyes. The seal on the original sealed container has been weakened to the extreme, making them no longer dare to use Nanao to fight. Chapter 144. But now, the seal on the sealed container is as stable as an old dog, and their village can rest assured to use Nanao to fight in the future. Very good. Mom no longer has to worry that a corner will hit the door. After Nanao Shigeaki's sign-in location was generated, Ryu finished the sign-in smoothly. There is no doubt that Nanao chakra got it smoothly after some calculations. Ryuban now has a chakra with 1, 3, 9, and 7 tails in his body at the same time, one step closer to the chakra who gathered the 9 big-tailed beasts. Ryuban can be said to be full of fighting spirit. The base of the godless bridged eye too is studying the forbidden rebirth of the dirty soil he stolen from Konoha very intensely. He is so focused and serious. This situation has been going on for several days. However, the rebirth of the filthy soil involves the soul, which is much more difficult than the general forbidden technique, and it is useless to bring this oil for a while. The black and white on one side can definitely be seen in the eyes and pain in the heart. That's fine. This is the only way to try. If you can't dispel the doubts in the heart of the earth, the plan will not be able to get back on track. But after a while, there was a resolute color flashing in the eyes of Black and White Jew. Take the soil. Since Naruto was killed by you, some ninja villages have become restless. The Kingdom of Thunder seems to be moving. I'm going to check it out. Are you going? Heiju made a proposal deliberately on the side. For nonsense things, do it yourself, and I won't do it. Sure enough, he didn't even lift his head with the soil, so he refused right now. His whole mind was focused on the rebirth of the filthy soil, and he didn't even have the mind to pay attention to the trivial matter of the Thunder Country robbing Konoha during the fire. Well, then I'll go by myself. If there's anything You can contact me through Baiju, Black and White said with dirt. Then he sank directly into the ground, using the mayfly technique to quickly walk through the ground. What brought this oil did not know was that Black and White did not go to the land of thunder at all, and that was all his excuses. The destination of Black and White's trip. I am afraid that it is impossible to guess if I want to break my head because of that place. No one in the entire ninja world knew about it except Black and White Jew, except for the 6 immortals who exist in the ninja world in the form of souls. Of course, the 6 immortals are only possible. And Black and White can never be determined. Gilulu. After walking underground to a specific place, Black and White emerged from the ground, but it was a beautiful place. Looking around, there are green trees, gurgling water, and a small house by the spring, which looks like a person's retreat. At the door of the house, a monk-like person was grilling fish with a torch, and the smell of meat wafted out. It's a leisurely and contented life. Sishion. Heiju walked directly towards the monk with a slight smile on his face. The monks are still grilling fish there. It seems that they have not seen the same Black and White at all until Heiju stood still in front of the monk, and said leisurely, "Or should I call you, the big barrel wood one style?" The monk's grilling fish stopped slightly. He turned his head and glanced at Black and White, and then let out a soft snort. "You fellow, how dare you appear in front of me? Are you afraid that I will kill you? If you want to kill me, do it the moment I appear. Why wait until now?" The Black and White are confident, calmly and authentic. Thousands of years ago, Heiju's mother, Ditongmu, was ordered to come to the earth to plant the sacred tree. In fact, there was a partner, and that partner was Ditongmu. Not only that, but the status of the Ditongmu style is actually higher than that of the Ditongmu Kaguya. The relationship between the two is like the peach style and the golden style. It's just that the two of them had an accident in the process of planting the sacred tree, and Kaguya made a sneak attack at a critical moment. As a result, Yishi was seriously injured. If it hadn't been used to hide in the body of Sishion, who was passing by at the time, Yishi would have died. Strictly speaking, one style is actually against Ditongmu, but considering that Yishi and Kaguya's mission to plant the sacred tree on the earth has completely failed, when Ditongkimado's family arrives, both Yishi and Kaguya will face the anger from their family. At this point, the two have the same hatred. That's why the dialogue mentioned above appears. These two people are all guys who have existed in the ninja world for thousands of years. In fact, they know each other's existence, but it is the first time that they have officially met. Hearing the words of Black and White Jew, Sishion just snorted. "You are just a product of Huai's consciousness, and you are worthy of me to take action." He who is absolutely non-committal, and he didn't argue with Sishion anymore. He didn't come to quarrel, but asked for Sishion's help. "Sixen, I need your help," Black and White said directly to Sishion. Then he told Sixen about the Moon Eye project and the current difficulties. "No way, Sixen is not Uchiha Madara. She can flicker by flicking, and it's impossible not to tell the other party the truth. What's more, Sishion is different from others. Even if you know the truth, it doesn't matter." "Ha ha ha." Sixen couldn't help laughing when he heard the words. "So you came to me to pretend to be a 6-Dao immortal and go and fool that Uchiha to bring soil?" "Yes. This is exactly the purpose of Black and White looking for Sishion. Since Uchiha brought the soil to doubt why the 6 immortals left the stone monument to the Uchiha clan, the content of the stone monument, etc. Then Black and White decided to draw a salary from the bottom, let the 6 immortals show up in person and instill the Moon Eye plan into the soil. At that time, still worry about not being able to bring this oil back. Of course, it is too difficult to pretend to be the 6-Dao immortals, but no one can pretend to be casual, especially when the earth has the eyes of reincarnation. That's why Black and White Jew came to Sishion. Chapter 106. 6 immortals appear, bring earth to layout. Chapter 145. The reason why Heiju approached Sishion to do this extremely important thing was nothing else, because no one in the entire ninja world could do this except for Sishion. Why? Because the 6th level chakra is too difficult to disguise. The reincarnation eye with soil has the 7 attributes of water, fire, wind, thunder, earth, and yin and yang at the same time. If it is not a chakra of the 6th level, there is no way to hide in front of this oil. But this kind of chakra is here in Sixen, because Sixen has a ready-made 10-tailed chakra. Isn't it a 6th level chakra? What's more, Ditongmu style and Liu Daoxianrun's mother are of the same race. In terms of blood, Ditongmu style is more refined than Liu Daoxianrun. As long as there are 6 chakras, everything else is easier to handle. Sixen, I know there have been some festivals between you and your mother. It can even be called a grievance, but your mother's resurrection will benefit you more than harm, isn't it? Sacred Tree has such a big problem now, Don't you be afraid that the people of Datunki will find out and then descend on this planet. When the time comes, do you want to deal with them alone? If you resurrect your mother will be your comrade in arms, and the reason why your mother shot you at that time was only because you wanted to sacrifice your mother to Ten-tailed. Now that you have a Ten-tailed, your mother has swallowed the fruit of the sacred tree. You have no conflict of interest. Under the persuasion of Black and White Jew, Sishion pondered for a while. Finally, he nodded and agreed. Even though he and Kaguya had an unpleasant past, Hioja was right. In the matter of Kaguya's resurrection, the benefits to him outweigh the disadvantages. Kaguya's sneak attack at that time almost killed him, and even after so long, he did not recover. If someone from the family really came, he would have no way to deal with it. Very well, let's discuss the specific details now. Black and White smiled, very satisfied. After some in-depth conversations, Saijiju sank into the ground again with a smile. The underground base of Shenwubi Bridge reappeared, and he turned his head and looked at it. With Tugu, he was still studying the rebirth of the dirty soil. However, the Black and White who had finalized a plan, at this time no longer had any worries and anxiety, but took the initiative to go over and study the technique of reincarnation of the dirty soil. With this oil when the sky was in full swing, Daitu was taken aback suddenly, as if he had noticed something. He turned his head abruptly, his eyes widened, and he saw that in this extremely secret cave, he didn't know when there was an extra person. Looking around, I saw that the man was wearing a white robe, and the two horns on his forehead and a pair of reincarnation eyes were so eye-catching. Wait a minute, besides the reincarnation eye, this guy actually has a third eye on his forehead, still a rider, and the tin stick in his hand, the six black floating under his feet. Although the belt's oil did not recognize what it was, a very unusual chakra wave was felt from above. That is the chakra wave that combines 7 attributes together. Not only that, this newly appearing guy, like a group of phantoms, is so suspended in the air, 6 immortals, at this moment. These 4 words flashed through the Earth's mind involuntarily because the image in front of him is exactly the same as the image of the 6 immortals in the legend. 6 Deo immortals? Are they really 6 Deo immortals? Of course. Taitu didn't believe that this person was the 6th Deo immortal from the beginning. He used his reincarnation eyes and riding wheel eyes to carefully examine the 6 Deo immortals in front of him, but the 6 immortals in front of him were disguised by Datongmu Yishi. Using the power of yin and yang to escape, it uses a more advanced technique besides the transfiguration technique, the transformation technique. What is yin and yang escape? Yin dun represents the power of the spirit, which can create a form in the invisible, and yang dun represents the power of the physical body, which can inject strength into the form. Yin and yang escape is the power of regeneration. In the Fourth World War, Metke opened the 8-door Dunjia and kicked Liu Daoban into serious injuries with the help of the dirty Watergate and Kakashi. It is reasonable to say that it is a dead end. However, Naruto used the power of yin and yang to rescue him in time after Kakashi's riding wheel eyes were dug away with soil. Naruto used the yin-yang escape technique to create another eyeball for Kakashi. Datongmu Yishi changes on the basis of yin and yang escape. Strictly speaking, it has truly become another person, and all aspects of the body have undergone real changes. How can soil be seen through? As for the 6th level aura and chakra fluctuations, the pressure on the bloodline of the Datongmu clan over the ninja is also real. It's not fake at all. So after checking with this oil for a while, I didn't see anything wrong. This is really the 6 immortals. Take this oil. Excited. Isn't the 6 Deo immortals? Can they suddenly appear in this extremely secretive place silently? Not 6 immortals. Can he have this kind of immortal aura, and chakras with 7 attributes fused together? Not the 6 immortals. Can he have reincarnation eyes, the owner of the Eye of Reincarnation? I am the 6 Deo immortals. Thousands of years ago, I spread chakras to the world in order to pass on love and use chakras to benefit mankind and make the world a better place. But what I didn't expect is that for thousands of years, there have been constant disputes in the ninja world, and people have developed ninjutsu with a chakra handed down from me to kill and fight. Chakra, who was supposed to light up the world, turned into a tool of war, bringing boundless darkness to the world. Chapter 146. This goes against my original intention of passing down chakra. This is my mistake. In order to make up for the mistakes I made in the past, in order to correct this deformed world and get it back on track, in order to make the world into my ideal world full of love and happiness, I had no choice but to develop a layout spanning thousands of years, and you, the owner of the Eye of Reincarnation, is the one who shoulders my great mission to reshape a beautiful world. I have been wandering in the world of ninja for thousands of years, just to give guidance to every owner of the reincarnation eye, you. Uchiha, the current owner of the Eye of Reincarnation, are you ready to shoulder my mission and reshape the world of ninja? The six immortals suspended in the air, using a kind of inscrutable voice with special effects in a film and television drama, slowly saying this to Uchiha Dato. 6 Dao Immortals, is the layout that spans the millennium that you said is unlimited monthly reading. After bringing the soil to ponder for a while, he stared at the Liudao Immortal and asked, "It seems that the previous owner of the Eye of Reincarnation has already told you about this plan." The six immortals nodded and looked straight into the eyes with soil. "Then tell me, bring soil, you are ready to carry this plan." 6 Dao Immortals. "I actually still have some questions in my heart," Tai Tu said, "so I hope you can solve my doubts. If you have any questions, just ask." 6 Dao Immortal Baoxiang solemnly said, "I want to ask, is it true that you and your son Indra have turned against each other, according to the legend in the shinobi world?" Tai Tu asked the same question Liu Jian asked him in the divine power space. "This is a past that I don't want to mention." Liu Dao's face showed a trace of sorrow, melancholy and helpless. He confessed in front of the dirt, that the rumored matter of Indra betraying him in the ninja world is all true. If this is the case, then 6 immortals, why do you leave this mission to the descendants of Indra? Not the descendants of Ajuro. Don't you worry about Indra's descendants. Don't you agree with your plan? This is also no way, because the unlimited monthly reading plan can only be implemented by the descendants of Indra. The 6 Dao Immortals had already prepared the answer for this. "This is why I personally showed up to give guidance." August, bringing this oil was speechless. The problem that had been stuck in my mind for a long time suddenly came through. The answer is that simple, because the unlimited monthly reading plan is a plan that can only be implemented when the writing wheel eyes continue to evolve. And to whom will it not be passed on? To the descendants of Indra. The first question was answered simply, and what Liu Ren said. Based on the uncertainty of the writing wheel's eye opening, so inheritance is risky, is also self-defeating. 6 Dao Immortals showed up in person to speak. Can they still be judged? It doesn't matter if the Uchiha clan is dead, so now, only the most critical issue remains. 6 Dao Immortals, I used the Eyes of Reincarnation to check the stone stele you left at Nanga Shrine. I found that there are traces of modification by someone using the yin and yang technique. Do you know this? Uchiha stared at the 6 immortals with this oil and asked, "Is it the stone tablet of Nanga Shrine?" That stone tablet was accidentally damaged during the Warring States period because of the war. So I used the yin-yang escape technique to repair it. The traces of the modification you mentioned are probably the traces of the stone stele I repaired back then. For this most critical question, Ditongmu Yishi had already discussed the answer with Hija long ago, and the answer was seamless. So, is it like this? Sure enough, that guy's inferences are just speculations. Take the soil stunned at this moment, all the doubts in his heart were answered, and the confidence in the unlimited monthly reading plan returned. Black and White Ju on one side saw the subtle changes in Tai Tu's expression, and couldn't help but secretly enjoy the plan was a success. Uchiha takes the soil. Do you have any other questions, at this time? The immortal Liudao asked with a condescending look at the soil. I have no problem. Tai Tu raised his head again. His face reappeared with a resolute color. 6-way immortals, I am willing to shoulder the mission that the owner of the reincarnation eye should have on his back. Rebuild a better one. The ninja world, my way is not alone. When the 6 Dao immortals finished saying this, a black hole suddenly appeared beside him, and then he carried the 6 Dao tin rods, and the people stepped into it all at once and disappeared. 6 Dao immortals, this is the 6 Dao immortals. So are we actually doing things for the 6 Dao immortals? Black and White Ju deliberately exclaimed in a very surprised and exaggerated tone. On the side bringing the soil seemed to be calmer. He just took a look. Isn't it possible that the 6 Dao immortals didn't have a guide spot before? I don't know this. I was only created by Master Ban recently. Ju smiled. Regardless of this, let's make the next plan now. I didn't even look at the scroll of dirt reincarnation, but started to speak to Black and White Ju with a straight face. It changed back to the old Uchiha belt soil, reincarnation of the dirty soil. Don't you watch it? Black and White said with a hint of teasing. I used to have short-sightedness, and that guy led me to the wrong direction. This kind of thing won't happen again in the future, Tai Tu said to Black and White with a serious face. Black and White nodded with satisfaction. The Uchiha who brought the soil, Konoha didn't know for what purpose. He seemed to be very interested in the tail beast, although he didn't do anything to Kyuubi this time, and finally returned Kyuubi to Konoha. I think we have to guard against it. Black and White said to Uchiha Dato. This oil nodded with deep approval. Ryubian's strength can be said to have caused a great psychological shadow on him. I think so too. That Konoha's Uchiha? We must be prepared early. Chapter 147. What's more, once the unlimited monthly reading plan is launched, our current manpower is not enough. So, should we recruit some manpower? Said with this oil. Actually, I have found a few very good candidates. Hyoju smiled, then took out a document and handed it to Tai to bring the earth to take a look at it. Some ninja information has already been recorded on it. Konoha rebelled against forbearance, and created a secret method called Ghost Chulu, which can merge the blood of others into his own body. Shennin, the survivor of Kongren, on the surface disguised as a wandering doctor, but in fact he was the leader of the survivors of Kongren, and he held a core of Kongren in his hands. Wang Quan, the creator of the undead legion that nearly destroyed the ninja world, holds the power of the sprite. In the ninja world, there are still so many demons and ghosts hidden. Dai Tu was very surprised. According to the introduction on the Black and White information, the strength of these guys is simply terrible, especially some guys. It is just a matter of waiting to compete with a country. But right after that, the eyes of this oil were filled with incomparable fighting spirit. If these guys were all under his command, Konoha would be easy to get rid of. What's so scary about Konoha's Uchiha? Zai. Then, let's start meeting these guys. Take Two closed the information in his hand, fighting spirit in a high spirit at this moment. The whole body is full of enthusiasm. Chapter 107. Ninja World is connected to the Soul World. After returning from Takagakura village, Ryujin continued his unremarkable days, going to work, signing in, and going out to play with Yurhong from time to time. There is nothing worth mentioning. The relationship between Uchiha and the village is still very tense and embarrassing. Konoha's senior management meets twice in 3 days, and it can be said that it is noisy to deal with the Uchiha clan. The various events that occurred during the Kyuubi rebellion, whether it was the power of the Uchiha clan, or their attitude towards the village, all sounded a serious alarm for Konoha. The difference from the original work is that the village's attitude towards Uchiha this time is much worse than before. After all, although the bull Feng Shui gate in the original work was also sacrificed, at any rate it was also his own initiative to end his life. Not only that, but the death of Bofton Shuman was not entirely due to Kyuubi, who was just one part of it. After hearing that Uzumaki Kushina regretted not seeing the future of Naruto, he decided to seal part of Kushina-chuck and pull together with Nine Tails in Naruto's body. In this way, Uzumaki Kushina will meet Naruto in the future. Moreover, Bofeng Shuman firmly believed that the son of prophecy that his teacher Jilly also said was his own son, so he entrusted everything to Naruto. Judging from the dialogue between the two people of Bofton Shuman and Uzumaki Kushina, even if Bofton Shuman doesn't make a move, Uzumaki Kushina can also seal the Nine Tails. But the price is complete death, exhausting the last trace of chakra, and then you will not be able to meet Naruto in the future at the same time. When Kyuubi is resurrected again, it will cause trouble again because of the lack of human strength. The reason for Watergate's suicide is actually a combination of many factors. But now, the Uchiha clan not only released the Nine Tails, but also brought this oil to the 3rd generation and killed the 4th generation of the Feng Shuman. This matter is indeed much worse than before, but this kind of atmosphere didn't affect Ryubian. What should he do? Everything is business as usual. Afternoon. After finishing his work, Ryujin returned to his family land, had a conversation with the Uchiha Chuhiro couple, and then returned to his room. It's been almost half a month since last time. I don't know how the Red Sand Scorpion is now. Ryubian thought for a while, and with a thought, once again entered the divine power space. The Red Sand Scorpion was lying on the ground like a corpse, and there was no trace of chakra fluctuations all over his body. This guy couldn't bear this kind of psychological loneliness. He committed suicide. Liu Ren couldn't help thinking. However, when he walked to the Red Sand Scorpion for inspection, he discovered that the Red Sand Scorpion was not without the slightest chakra fluctuation. His control center still has such a trace of extremely weak chakra fluctuations. It's just that if you don't feel it carefully, you can't feel it at all. You came. The Red Sand Scorpion's voice suddenly sounded, and at the same time the chakra on the Red Sand Scorpion returned to normal, and the others got up directly from the ground. Liu Ren felt a little surprised. The other party seemed like a candle in the wind a second ago, as if chakra would be completely cut off at any time, resurrected with full blood in the next second. What is the Red Sand Scorpion doing? I agreed to your previous proposal. Without waiting for Ryubian to speak again, the Red Sand Scorpion said directly to Ryubian. He also directly took out a scroll and handed it to Ryubian. I thought I was going to waste some tongue. Liu Ren was stunned. and then took the scroll directly after opening it for a glance. He put it away. I have given you what you want. Either you will let me out or kill me, the Red Sand Scorpion said to Ryubana in a deep voice. At this time, God knows how he spent the past half-month. The whole world was pitch black. There was no difference between day and night at all, and there was no one other than the Red Sand Scorpion. This psychological torture drove the Scorpion of the Red Sands mad. He finally had to use the secret method to put himself into a dormant state, and finally survived until now. If the Red Sand Scorpion stayed in this ghost place again, he would rather die. After I'm sure this technique is true, I'll deal with you. Chapter 148. After Ryubana had said this to the Scorpion of Red Sand, Renshu disappeared completely in front of the Scorpion of Red Sand, and returned to his room. The Red Sand Scorpion lay silently on the ground and continued to sleep. The chakra on his body was once again as faint as a candle in the wind. In the next few days, Ryubana was studying the Red Sand Scorpion's technique, but what made him very painful was that the Red Sand Scorpion's technique was incomplete, or it is incomplete. The first half of the technique is a technique for summoning souls from another world. This technique seems to be relatively complete, and all theories are integrated, and there are no flaws, but how to make the summoned souls into puppets is obviously not very reliable. Simply put, it's like a draft. After asking about the Scorpion of Red Sand, I realized that the Scorpion of Red Sand was developed by accident that could summon souls from another world. Combined with his unique puppet body, this technique is immature, and it will bring a great backlash to oneself when it is performed, and there is no guarantee that it will succeed every time. This cheating thing. Liu Ren resolutely threw away the control method developed by the Red Sand Scorpion himself, leaving only the technique for summoning the souls of the other world. Anyway, he has the Eyes of Reincarnation, the power of humanity. He could roughly control this soul body using the Red Sand Scorpion's half-dangling soul manipulation technique, which caused oneself to fall asleep for several days at once. It would be more reliable to develop the power of the human realm. Before that, let's try this summoning technique first. If it is reliable, Ryubana thought so. However, for the sake of caution, he did not directly experiment with the summoning technique with his ontology. Instead, he separated a shadow clone to do this. After all, Liu Ren wasn't sure what kind of soul he would summon. If a spirit body of the level of the of death and the ghoul seal is recruited, wouldn't it be seeking death? Of course, this possibility is extremely low, but there is always nothing wrong with being steady in everything, right? Liu Ren not only used the shadow clone to do this kind of thing, but also ran into the divine power space to do it according to the steps on the scroll. Ryubana drew a number of esoteric and complex techniques on the ground, and prepared some related props. Then he quickly formed seals with both hands and began to pat on the ground fiercely. All the techniques were activated, and the complicated and difficult technique patterns were like pre-programmed programs, and started to operate with the startup operation of Ryubana. Soon a vague channel full of sci-fi sense, like the one played in a sci-fi movie, appeared in front of Ryubana. The passage to the other world has been opened. What you have to do next is to use this big formation to the soul you caught, the Red Sand Scorpion said. On the side, Ryubana nodded, and didn't say much. He had already studied the soul summoning technique, and he did not need the instruction of the Red Sand Scorpion to operate it alone. But then Ryubana was a little bit dazed, because in the so-called channel in front of him, there was a picture unexpectedly, but I saw that it was a desolate and dilapidated place. There are weeds everywhere on the ground, and there are still 1 or 2 trees dotted in some places. And I can even see the dilapidated houses. When I tried to look forward, Ryubana couldn't help being stunned. This is the so-called different space. Originally, when the Red Sand Scorpion told him that this technique was to summon a soul from another world, Ryubana didn't think much about it, but the souls all came directly, and this one of the Red Sand Scorpion is good, and you can actually see that other world. This is awesome. Is this another world? Ryubana suddenly became very interested. At first it was like watching a movie, carefully watching the other world unfolding on the screen, but so far, the style of that world seems to be the same as my own. I just don't know what kind of world it is next. Ryubana tried it. He could control the screen to move and observe different places in another world. That's all. A world of destruction, desolation, and chaos appeared in front of Ryubana. Kill him, beat me hard. Let him taste the pain. After observing it, not long after, a noisy sound came out of the passage. Liu Ren hurriedly controlled the screen to move over. A group of people fighting with each other appeared in front of Ryubana. Ryubana became more and more excited because those people speak the same language as Naruto world, and they are all dressed in the same way. Is it a parallel world? What are you doing? Why don't you hurry up and grab a soul? I remind you, don't be discovered by some powerful souls, otherwise I don't know what will happen. The scorpion of the red sand said to Ryubana blankly. On one side Ryubana was a little surprised. These are all living people, how can there be souls? Can this channel directly the soul out of the human body? If this is the case, this skill Ryubana will not be considered for use. It is too evil. Don't be silly, this is the underworld. All you see are souls, Red Sand Scorpion explained. Underworld? No, brother, how does the underworld look so similar to the real world? Oh? Interesting, what is this method? Suddenly a voice came from the screen. At the same time, a person walked towards the screen like that, staring at the screen very curiously. Chapter 149. I saw that man had a terrifying face, and a long scar on his left face ran through the entire half of his face, the kind that can definitely scare children to cry. The hair is also combed into the kind of long strands of broken hair, all of which are branched back, which is a hairstyle that ordinary people can't control. Is this so? Impossible, right? When Liu Ren saw this face, he almost stared out his eyes because of this face. He is no stranger. Then Liu Bian saw that the man took out a knife that was smashed to the extreme. The knife was very narrow, long and small, with many gaps on it. It was terrible, but it was such a knife that was held in the hand by that person and severely slashed against the passage. A terrifying force suddenly came, and the passage that Liu Bian had just opened collapsed. Not only that, but an incomparably powerful force penetrated along the passage. An extremely fierce sword aura spread in an instant, and the entire divine power space seemed to be enveloped with a layer of murderous aura. With a move of Liu Bian's heart, the person disappeared and instantly moved out of the divine space. Click. The scorpion of the red sand was too late to dodge, and was instantly split in half by the sword aura the next moment. Liu Ren used the divine mighty eye technique to transfer in again, still with incomparable horror on his face. Through the cut of the opponent, he became more sure of the identity of the opponent, and sweat suddenly came out of his forehead. Zheng Mu Jianba. The guy just now turned out to be Mu Jianba. Isn't this too fucking? So the underworld in the mouth of the red sand scorpion is actually the world of death? The soul body captured by the scorpion of red sand is actually a person in the corpse soul world. This really made Liu Ren feel that his wife was too surprised, and he didn't expect that the world of death also existed. But soon he became dumb. The world of Hokage exists. What's the fuss about the existence of the world of Reaper? However, the previous one was even more wooden. Sword 8, did not wear a blindfold, and did not wear a death tyrant outfit. Judging by the time, it should still be when he was exiled on Liuhun Street. This can also explain why the world Liu Bian saw before was so garbage and chaotic. This summoning technique is too cheating, isn't it? Fortunately, only a passage was opened on Liuhun Street. If you accidentally drive into Seiring Palace, it will be coke. Liu Ren shrugged, thought to himself mockingly, forget it, keep this technique for now, it's not necessary for the time being. Liu Ren just thought about it for a while before he made this decision anyway. He has a lot of methods now, and he is not so demanding of the soul puppet technique of the red sand scorpion. With the equivalent of icing on the cake, he can add one more in the card library of countless powerful tricks. If not, it is harmless. I checked the red sand scorpion in the past, and Liu Bian found that the sad baby was dead. It was a real death because his control center was split into two pieces by Zheng Mu Jianba. There was no possibility of resurrection anymore. Poor baby. Liu Bian shook his head, and sent the body of the red sand scorpion out of the divine mighty space. I also found a random place outside the village of Konoha and buried the red sand scorpion, which is considered to be a funeral for the red sand scorpion, although it was a bit sloppy. It was much better than those ninjas who died in the wilderness without a burial place. Chapter 108. The Togma Shurin descended on the earth. After more than 2 months of tension and embarrassment, Konoha's 48th year is quickly approaching the end of the year. December 27th. This day is an extremely ordinary day for many people, and it is the same for Ryubana. He patrols with everyone as he did in the past. Have you heard that the daughter of Rinnegan Izusama is born? Really? No wonder the Hyuga clan people are so happy today. This is the princess of the Hyuga family. Walking in the village, Liu Jian can clearly feel that the atmosphere in the village today is particularly good, and villagers in every corner are constantly discussing this matter enthusiastically. Hinata? This is really a lucky little guy. Even the companion who was patrolling with Ryubana couldn't help but sigh twice. After all, the Hyuga clan is quite special. Although the division and the clan are the same clan, the treatment is very different. Once you cast the wrong fetus, there are two completely different lives. The little guy named Hyuga Hinata, who was just born today, was reborn in the daughter of the patriarch Hyuga. It can really be said to be very lucky. Is the princess born? Ryubana on one side was slightly surprised. Although Hyuga Hinata didn't have a high sense of presence in Hokage, he was the most unprovoked person in Hokage. He shook his head and continued to brag and patrol with his companions, without taking this matter to heart just like everyone else. It's just a conversation, but what no one thought was that on another planet far away from the ninja realm, or even far away from the Earth, there were also several people paying attention to the newly born Hyuga Hinata, Moon in a magnificent but gloomy castle. Two old men are observing the newly born Hyuga Hinata through giant reincarnation eyes. The two of them are not others, they are the Datongmu clan on the moon, and they are also the descendants of Datongmu Yue. The younger brother of the six Dao immortals. The Big Barrel Wood clan on the moon once had a glorious time, but because of different concepts, the division and the clan fought a battle. Although the Zhuang family was eventually destroyed by the division also suffered heavy casualties, and now only these two are left, Atsuki Shinichi and Atsuki Genai. Atsuki Zwanai was originally an unknown pawn, but he lived a long time, which is not worth mentioning, but Atsuki Shinichi gave birth to a son, named Atsuki Sharon. Chapter 150. What a high purity! This purity is simply amazing. It's unbelievable that low-level family would have such high purity white eyes. Both Shinichi and Atsuki were startled by the eyes of the newly born Hyuga Hinata. In their opinion, although the Hyuga clan is a comrade of their origin, they are not worthy of being compared with them at all. It is a race lower than them, but this kind of race can give birth to white eyes that are rare in their race. Since the battle with the clan family, the population of the division has withered, and the population has been sparse enough to be unable to reproduce offspring. Therefore, Shinichi, Atsuki and two of them have been paying attention to the Hyuga family on the Earth in recent years, hoping to find someone who can be worthy of the Atsuki Sharon, to continue the incense for the Atsuki family. Originally, they didn't have much hope for this plan, but who would have thought that a surprise was discovered today? Shinichi, if it is this kind of pure white eyes, it is worthy of sacrifice, Atsuki Zwanai said to Atsuki Shinichi with bright eyes. Atsuki Shinichi also nodded his head heavily, and didn't mean anything for the time being. However, this matter is very important. In order not to taint the blood of the Atsuki clan, Shinichi Atsuki is very cautious. Let's pay attention to this Hyuga Hinata first. After 2 years, I will go down and take a look, Shinichi Atsuki added with a serious expression. As spring passes and autumn comes, the heat and cold change, and in a blink of an eye, 2 years have passed since the rebellion of the Nine Tails for Konoha. These 2 years have been at a low point. In the past 2 years, Konoha not only lost the important figure of Bofton Shuman, his strength was greatly reduced, but he also had a 2-year tug-of-war with Yunin after the death of Bofeng Shuman. Yunyin, who has always been sturdy in style, did not miss this golden opportunity of a lifetime and shot Konoha. This battle lasted for more than 2 years. Konoha and Yunin have their own costs, and it can be said that there is no real winner. The two sides saw for such a long time, and they were a little impatient. After many consultations and negotiations, finally in the year of Konoha 51, substantial progress has been made. Yunin sent a mission to Konoha to discuss a peace treaty. Once the two sides reach an agreement, they will directly sign an armistice treaty, ending the years of war between Konoha and Unyin. When the news came out, Konoha could be said to be jubilant, and it was more festive than it was during the festival. Konoha has been fighting for a long time. Konoha Guard Headquarters Uchiha Fumitake looked serious, and sternly explained a series of things to the guards in front of him. Tomorrow, the Yunin mission will arrive at Konoha, and everyone will cheer me up. And there must be no slack. These days when the Yunin mission is in Konoha for peace talks, we must ensure their safety. This time the negotiation village is very important, and there must be no mistakes. I will post the new rotation schedule later, and you will be on duty in accordance with the new rotation schedule tomorrow. As soon as there is any disturbance, report it to me as soon as possible. Understand? All the Konoha guards replied loudly. Understood. After a while, the new rotation schedule was sent out, with one hand in hand, and after a glimpse of it, the workload was doubled. It used to patrol 3 laps, but now it needs to patrol 5 laps. Now the guards have to patrol their places that were not important. Even more than 3 hours of work was added in the evening. In addition, even at night, it is also necessary to specially arrange personnel to be on duty. But even so, no one complained. Everyone understands the significance of this peace negotiation. There must be no surprises. In addition to the Konoha guards, similar conversations are also taking place in the Hokage Building. Sarutobi Resin also began to give orders to the Ambs men. Be sure to do a good job in the security of the village in the few days when the Yunin mission arrived, and there must be no accidents. Don't think that peace talks are just a matter of peace of mind. Did the second generation of Kai and Xiao Jian die in the peace talks with Union? At that time, the Golden Horn and Silver Horn brothers were dissatisfied with the signing of a peace treaty with Konoha. As a result, they launched a coup d'état, resulting in the death of the second generation of Hokage and the second generation of Lei Ying. With this painful lesson, how could Konoha dare to be negligent in this peace negotiation? Not only the security in the village, Sarutobi Hizaki had sent out several ninja teams quietly out of the village a few days ago, and secretly monitored the Union mission team along the way, prevent this team from engaging in what. As it can be said that from the moment the Union mission left the Kingdom of Thunder, piece by piece of information has been continuously transmitted to the Hokage office. Now Konoha's atmosphere can be said to be very complicated, tense and joyous, but for Liu Ren, he didn't pay much attention to this peace negotiation, but instead thought about some messy things absent-mindedly. In my impression, this peace negotiation was actually not peaceful at all, and Union, who has always been a rogue, really came up with some was. He even took advantage of this opportunity to try to take Hinata abducted. As a result, Yunren, who had committed the crime, was killed on the spot by Hyuga Hizu. Union used this as an excuse to make a fuss, and used the pretext of fighting to press Konoha aggressively, and the consistent style of the three generations of Sarutobi Rizun is to attack with a heavy blow at the inside. Poor Hyuga Nippa, who was so into the cannon fodder of high-level politics, how badly he died. The next day Ryujin and the other Konoha guards got into work early and began to patrol the village intensively. At about 10 o'clock, Liu Ren heard a noise from the village. It was the happy cheers and discussions of the villagers. Liu Ren knew immediately that the people from the Union mission had arrived. Sure enough, during his next patrol, he saw the team of Union mission from a distance. Sarutobi Hizum personally led the Konoha ninja, and solemnly received the Union mission at the entrance. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.